Freeze Ray needs work. Also, I need to watch out about who gets to listen to this podcast, because apparently Captain Hammer and the authorities both listen. Captain Hammer threw a bus at my head. No, actually, this is Julian, recording the second technical difficulties recording for this episode. So the original one had to do with the fact that there was a really bad thunderstorm while we were doing the Skype call, and I wasn't sure what it was going to do to the actual recording because we had a lot of problems with just getting everything done. There was a lot of stuff that I had to edit, and I was almost done. And then my computer rebooted overnight to do some updates, and Audacity lost the entire file and would not recover it. And so I am having to start completely over using the raw Skype audio call. So not only is this episode going to sound like shit, but I right now don't even know how bad it's going to sound, because you're probably like, I'm gonna have to trim out, I'm sure, some awful roboting and stuff like that. So on the plus side, it's one of the best episodes that we've done in a while, so at least the content is good. But as far as the audio quality, I'm very sorry. This weekend at WP. The world was a hell of a lot different when I was a kid. America was a country. Anyone could go wherever they damn well please. No need for couriers like yourself. We had highways, airplanes, technology that could allow you to travel to other countries. Hard to imagine now. As you can see, the Death Stranding poked us full of holes. Fucked us beyond recognition. Oh, hello there. Welcome to Nerds Without Pants. We cover everything while bearing it all. I am Julian. I'm joined as always by Justin. I thought I had something clever as far as a nickname, but I kind of forgot the naming conventions of Death Stranding already.
Oh,
so, but we are in the Death Stranding at this point.
I thought you were like Julian Kill Butt or something like that. I can't remember exactly. You kill all the butts.
Yeah. I feel like that was yours. You're always about the putting butts in
all
things.
About the butts. Butts a fun word to say. There's something about it that just rolls off the tongue really aesthetically. Like ass is a fine word. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it's short. It's to the point. It's concise. It's funny to me in an immature way, and I enjoy it.
I do like butts to roll off my tongue.
Butts, yeah. Roll all the butts off your tongue. I don't have a good Death Stranding name for myself. I can't remember. I think it was Just an America podcast. I think that was mine.
Yeah. That would actually be mine too, because we both podcast. Like that's
Julian American podcast.
Yeah.
I want to be like the I don't remember. There's nobody good in Death Stranding.
Oh, I was
trying to think.
There's a lot of good characters in that game.
You know what we need? We need to like make all our names something like they all need to be like 4 double entendres in one name. That's what we need. That drove me insane in that fucking game.
His name was Cliff, and then he talked about how he was always looking off of a cliff.
That guy, I know.
He was the last one that didn't have an ironic name, and then it was like, oh no, yeah, you do.
Dude, Amelie has like 3. She has like fucking 3. I was named. Okay.
No, yeah, I still don't want to spoil it because honestly, depending, I think I've noticed that like some people, and I think it depends on your personality. Like some people are definitely engaging a lot more with like post-apocalyptic media and stuff like that, and I do think that Death, like I know Superstep is playing Death Stranding right now, So I don't want to spoil anything, but also like depending on your mindset, it might be just what you need. Part of me kind of wants to jump back into my game. It's just the fact that like they put another like BT zone right in front of the main city, like right after, like I was like, no, I wanted to go like at least like move them down into like deeper into the areas so that I can just like at least in the beginning areas just start like building stuff up, and I just wanted to run around for another like 15 hours.
You will engage with our shitty game mechanics, Julian, and you will enjoy it. That's what that game's all about.
I like game mechanics a lot.
They're all right.
Yeah.
Some of them are cool. Some of that stuff's cool, but yeah. Anyway.
This is a belabored intro, but welcome back to Nerds Without Pants, everybody. I think I didn't say the episode. This is 173. We do cover everything about Bearing It All. Got that. Check. Guess we don't have any other preamble stuff, so why don't everybody take off your pants, relax, and let's hop into the stage select. I'm gonna kick things over to you, Justin, because this stage select is your baby. Hopefully, we got some more stuff than last time. I think. Yeah. This one was hard, by the way. This was very difficult for me.
I figured this was going to be difficult for you, but I really was curious because I know you're going to have some either off the wall shit that I've never heard of, and you're going to blow my mind with it or something. Something's going to happen. That's why I picked it. I knew it was going to be difficult for you, but the things that you came up with, I figured were going to be amazing. Mine were all easy, and we'll get to it. But
I think I'm going to disappoint you.
Well, even still, I'm curious. It'll be a good revelation, you know.
Yeah.
But this stage select, I wanted to know what people's favorite games were that they never actually played. And it's one that's near and dear to my heart because there's a lot of games that I just really can't play. I don't know if can't's the right word, but like horror games are not my thing. And I just like, I turn off when I jump, but I like watching them for some reason. Certain ones, not all of them. Like I can't do PT. I can't do first person stuff, but like we'll get into this later. I just watched a whole game, but I love watching games. I love watching people play through stuff, and I was like, I know there's a lot of games that people out there are just, they're hard to come by or whatever, and you just haven't played them, and I wanted to know which ones are people's favorites. Okay, Julian, I'm gonna make you go first because that is what my heart tells me to do, because I want you to school me on something or not school me on something. Either one, it's fine. So what's your first one, man?
Yeah, so like I said, this was very difficult for me simply because if it's a game that I'm really into or interested in, I've probably at least touched it. Like there were a lot of games that I thought of, but I was like, oh no, I actually played that at least a little bit. Like even like multiplayer stuff that you wouldn't think that I would engage with. Like I was like, oh, Team Fortress 2 was like, oh wait, no, I played that for like, a couple days. Like there's a lot of stuff like that. And if it's not something that I'm into, like I'm super not into it, right? Like there's tons of like Call of Duty games that I've never played. Right. I have no interest in them. They like PUBG is and Fortnite are like two of the biggest phenomenons of the last couple years. Right. We'll never play those games, have no interest in playing those games, don't even like looking at those games. Like they just don't do anything for me. So yeah, this was hard, but I think my number one is going to be on your list. Okay. But that's fine. But my number three...
I got actually backups just in case, so cool. No worries.
My number three is actually... It kind of fulfills two roles, but it is Ultima Online, which was one of the first MMORPGs. It might be actually the first if you don't count like the MUDs, like the multi-user dungeons, which were just like all text-based type things, though they were multiplayer. And so originally I had Baldur's Gate 2 in this slot because, I people are so fond of that game and I've heard so much about it over the years, but I don't think that I would I don't think I actually like that game just from what I've played of games that are like spiritual successors to it.
Yeah.
Part of that is that, as I've said before, like I just did not play PC games in that era, and so I just do not have the skill set or like the knowledge base to play those games. And so, but Ultima Online, I think it fills that because it is a computer game that I literally had no idea it existed for a long time. But I love hearing stories of people who played it because it was kind of like a free-for-all type of MMO, kind of anything went. And, you know, I love to hear like stories of like Anthony Gallegos from Rebel FM or Ryan Scott from the Geekbox talking about their old days in Ultima Online, where they would just like grief people in these really bizarre ways. And, you know, because it was like a very like hardcore type of game where I think one of them told a story about how they killed somebody on a boat in the middle of the ocean, so that they just couldn't get back to their corpse to get their stuff. You know, like things like that, or like literal gatekeepers that would like keep like lower level players from being able to get back to town because they would just kill them as soon as they were in range. I
had a friend who played this, and he would tell me stories of doing that type of shit to people all the time. I think I watched him play it for about like half an hour one time. And I just remember him going somewhere and just setting a bunch of people on fire and running away. And that was that game. Like that's how I remember it. And also I remember, that was the first game I'd ever heard of this, but like that was one of the like bigger, that was like one of the first MMOs I remember really like kind of gaining popularity and blowing up. Like,
yeah, I mean, it like I said, it might be the first one, but it was like very like, it was like that and EverQuest Online were like very close together. But I want to say that Ultima like had it by maybe a year or so, because if you look at it, like EverQuest looks like a PlayStation 2 game, and then Ultima Online still looks like, it looks like Diablo 2, you know, like it's still like an isometric, like I don't think they're even like there's any polygons in it. It's just, you know, they're still sprites. I could be wrong on that point, but anyway, it's a very archaic looking game.
Yes.
And you know, so Austin, Texas's own Richard Garriott, you know, I actually got to see him speak at our store one time, and you know, he told some stories about developing not so much on Ultima Online, but his older games, but you know, I mean, of course, there's the well-known story of him as his character Lord British appearing in the game and then getting murdered by a player, which is just amazing. But I just recently saw this. So there's this YouTube series, and I forget who puts them out, but they're called War Stories, and they take like a game and they talk to like one or two of the developers, and they basically talk about how like, here was the problem during the game development. Here's what we did to solve it, and then here was like the impact of that solution, right? And I watched one for Ultima Online, and apparently at the beginning when they were making the game, they had this whole ecosystem where you could like kill animals and you could get stuff from them and, you know, sell it. And I guess when they went into beta or something like that, the player base killed every animal in the world within like 2 days, and so there were no more animals. Like basically, like the whole system broke down, and basically that was it. And it's, and you know, which probably that has it's a really good simulation of our time. But I just thought that was really cool. And apparently, like, people didn't even know that this was a system because they were like, okay, well, this isn't going to work, so they just took it out. But like that was the goal when they were starting this game. It's like, oh yeah, it'll be this whole like, you know, like this hierarchy of animals, and you'll be able to be in that food chain and stuff. It's like, oh no, they're all dead.
Didn't work out. Yeah, I remember when I was younger, when this game was kind of at like peak popularity, I seen a story on the news about it, and the story was about a guy who basically like played the game a ton of hours, built like, and he would just build like these like castles because you could build houses and stuff. And then he would sell the accounts for like thousands of dollars, and people.
Oh yeah, this is peak time for that stuff.
And that was like a 2020 or CNN news story, something like that, because I seen it at like a hospital or something. I don't remember where. I was like, wow, that's wild. I want to play that game. That sounds awesome. And nowadays I'm like, nah, I'm good. I'm playing that game. But it seems super interesting. I love the stories of it.
Yeah, and there's I would love to be able to play. Part of it I think is that as games get more complicated as far as like their design and everything, you have to put more restrictions on players. But there has to be a sweet spot somewhere where you can still have this type of like do anything type of MMO, like and make it known that, hey, look, like, yeah, people are probably going to grief you here, and like it's like it might be a really hard road to tread, but that it just makes it all the more rewarding. Like I always talk about Final Fantasy 11. I re-upped my 14 subscription recently,
nice.
And that game is still amazing, but it's like it's so goddamn easy compared to 11. It's like 11 was a crucible, and it's like part of that was poor and wonky game design, but another part of that was like, no, we want you to play with other people, so we're making it to where you have to partner up with people, and there was something about that was very special. And I think I've mentioned, like, there are people that I only partied with once that I still remember in that game because it was just a very memorable party, and like they had a really good personality and stuff. And I think there's something to be said about having like this very difficult environment where you all cling together. And I wish that they could like bring that back in some ways, in some fashion.
Yeah, I think a lot of like MMOs are like a tough sell for people nowadays because there's a lot of them. There's like the Korean ones, which I think are cool because I think the characters like creator stuff is pretty in them. Like that's why I played Black Desert Online for however many hours, and then once it turned into like a total grind, I was like, okay, I'm out. I can't do this. I see where we're going, and I don't like it. It'd be cool to see that style kind of come back. It'd be neat. I know there's like games that people still play like Rust, and it's not exactly an MMO, but like it's like those survival games. That's kind of what that's turned into. Like the one Patrick was playing or whatever.
Yeah, Ark.
Ark. Of course. I swear to God, I blank on everything on this podcast. But yeah, like stuff like that. I guess maybe that's kind of the route people went with it, for their griefing needs, and I don't know. But yeah. So let's see. I'll start with this one. This one is one we've talked about a lot on the show, but it's still one of my favorites, and that's why I'm going to start with it. And it's Silent Hill 2. Never played it. Never played it myself. Yeah. But I fucking love that game, dude. It's
know a lot about Silent Hill 2.
Yeah, I do. A lot of these games, like, except maybe for one of them on my list, is like I know a lot about them, and I know a lot about like the lore and story and stuff. But like, I've never actually played it myself because I'm like I'll get part of the way in, get freaked out by something, and I'll just like, okay, I don't want to go down this hallway. I'm not doing it. So we're done here. But yeah, I just think that game is so cool. Like, I love the idea of just the town being the personal hell of somebody. And like, I love how open to interpretation a lot of it is, and how you just never know, like, if like a character is actually real or if they're just part of, the town fucking with this guy. And like, I love the writing. Some of the voice acting is a little awkward by, today's standards of voice acting, but I still think it's really good.
But by 2001 standards, that really shit was then. Next level.
Oh yeah.
So when you beat the game and you had like a clear save file, it would play, like if you because again, I love idle, like letting games run and just like play their attract video, which they don't really do that much these days. But back in the day, they all had them. And Silent Hill 2, of course, you get that awesome theme song. But once you had a clear save, it would actually play the dialogue during the cutscenes that they would show within the music. And like every time that like it would be that part where Maria would be yelling at James. I was like, damn, it's just so good. Like, that's like real life. Yeah. And it's a little really hammy by today, but it's like, no, like Eddie, when he's like, just put the gun to your head. Pow. Like, those characters are chilling, and oh god, yeah, I could go on for hours about Silent Hill 2.
It's a great game, dude. It really is. Like I said, I don't really have a desire to pick it up and play it myself, because like I said, I'll get to a point where I'm like, okay, I got to go through this apartment hallway, and I know what's here. I don't really want to do it.
It's oppressive.
Yeah, it is. And the atmosphere, like even the music, like it's that, like most of the time it's that real like gross sounding industrial sounding shit, and it's so cool. I really dig that game a lot, and it's one of those things, like I'll probably never play it. And for our listeners out there, if you are like me and are a coward, I don't blame you, and if you've never played it but are curious about it, I would suggest, like I've said this before, but I'll say it again, the Super Best Friends playthrough of it is fantastic. They go through a lot of the theories and stuff behind the game. They shut the fuck up for the cutscenes. They add a little levity to it, so like it kind of takes away from, being freaked out or whatever. It's really nice. I've watched that game both ways, without commentary and with it. It's so good. It's such a good game.
And it's been dissected. It's been dissected so much over the years that you could probably find some really excellent videos that are just trying to delve into the psychology of it, that I think is really interesting, because that game in particular, and it's the reason why I hated that Pyramid Head became like the Freddy Krueger of Silent Hill, because it's like, no, he is specifically James Sunderland's tormentor. Like, and then also like, just the way that like all of the character designs kind of tied into his sexual frustration.
Exactly.
And I don't even know if like that was the explicit like thing for that game, or if that's just what we have all come to believe, but it just makes so much sense.
I keep thinking they have said, they like the developer or the main guy behind it. I don't know who it is. I'm real bad with developer names, especially Japanese ones.
Yeah, well, Akira Yamaoka, who did the music, he had a big part to play in like the design part of those first three games, but I also but I can't know if I don't know how much he had to do with the actual story.
Right. But I know one of the main people behind it has like kind of confirmed and denied certain things about it I could be wrong about that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I know people are still like, even today, kind of finding little bits and pieces here and there about the game. Like there was like some weird anagram somebody found on something that was written on like the wall of the bar. I can't remember exactly what it was. It's such a fucking fascinating game though. It's really cool. I love that game.
I am about to get after he listens to this, I am about to get a text storm from friend of the show and former co-host Rob O'Tone, because he's just going to be like, let me tell you everything I know right now about Silent Hill 2 because you asked.
Yes, and I'm all about it, man. Silent Hill 2 is fucking awesome, and even I know that, and never played it, but I know it's fucking cool, and I love it.
No, that's a great one.
Yep.
So my number 2. So this is weird, right? So this is a game that when I first saw it, I thought it looked really stupid and I wanted nothing to do with it. And I used to mock it. And I've since come to really respect it. But it's also a game that, I haven't played it, but I also know I will never play it because I just know it's super not for me. Minecraft.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I think that game, to bring up Rob again, a long time ago on the show, he had pontificated that Angry Birds was going to be like the Mario Brothers of that generation. Years from now, that's what kids would be citing, or adults would be citing as their big impetus for getting into games. I don't think that bears out, but I think Minecraft is that for a particular generation of kids, where I'm super interested to see what happens in the next, let's say 10 to 15 years, when the kids who their first video game was Minecraft get to the age where they're actually making video games, because I'm really curious to see what that is.
Right. Yeah, they might make some really cool stuff, because just the level of creativity and kind of build your own world stuff. I think that idea is super cool. It might be a little too slow for somebody like me. I get bored just building stuff, and I don't like getting resources to do things. I just get turned off by things like that. I love character creation. I want to that's instant. That's why I like it, because everything I need is right there. But I don't know if I could sit there and like build a castle or build a like spot on remake of the Sphinx or whatever people do on Minecraft, but that shit is really cool that they do it in this video game, you know?
Yeah, I mean, because like I said, when I first saw it, I was like, oh, these graphics suck, and like all you do is build. That's so boring. There's nothing to the game. But then I saw what people were doing with it. Where like I think in the first few months, like someone had built like an actual computer in the game out of Minecraft blocks, which was amazing. And then like some of the structures in there when you started to see like, oh, here's the entire like neighborhood from Springfield, in Minecraft or stuff like that. And then just the creativity of it. And then, my thing is that I need a more guided experience. So it's not that I don't like the idea of building things, but I need more to it than that. And I know that like in the years since it debuted, it now has like, there's quests and stuff like that, but I'm more apt to seek out like Dragon Quest Builders where I get to do the building stuff, but there's also really cool characters and there's like fun story and there's quests to do. And it's like, here, this is what you need to build next, where it's like, if you just say, here's the world, do whatever you want. And I'm like, I freeze. Like I'm actually not, it's kind of weird because like I used to be like an artist, but I'm not a very creative person. I'm very good at building upon other people's ideas and kind of like I can enhance things, but I'm not really good at doing things from scratch. So if you just give me this like blank like canvas in a video game to do what I will with, I'm not going to do much. Right.
I'm only good at like character creation stuff. I like Sims, like when it comes to building a house in The Sims, there are people that go ape shit on that stuff and make really cool things. I'm not that guy. Like I just go with the default houses. They live in those. It's fine. I'm not building it. It's too much of a pain in the ass, but people do really cool shit with it. You're right. It's a make your own fun type of game. Like if you go in there with an idea of I'm going to do this thing in the game, then it's awesome to you. Like you will spend hours in doing that thing. But if you don't have like that sort of direction, then it probably would get kind of boring. I'm in the same boat as you. I'd probably get equally as bored trying it myself, but I think it's really cool the things that people do in it. Like I love to look at them. So
and real quick, like have you seen the Xbox Series X like ray tracing demos of Minecraft?
I haven't seen them, but I remember they no, you know what? I think I have seen that. I know I've seen a couple ray tracing videos of them. Maybe that was Minecraft.
Shit.
Yeah, that looks really cool.
It makes it look like a completely different game. It's amazing what just a little bit of dynamic lighting can do. I mean, I should have known this because I took photography, but it's like lighting can change everything. And now we're like with this next generation coming up, we're going to get to this point where they can do so much just with a light source that fundamentally changes. I mean, it's going to change gameplay, and that's lighting, very exciting.
Lighting is an amazing thing. You have no idea. Like I'll get into this more later because it goes into something else. But it makes a huge difference. And also, like, I don't think they ever released it, but didn't they have like a 4K texture pack that they were going to put out and then they just never did or something like that for Minecraft?
Because when they showed off the Xbox One X, they showed that because I actually saw like, I was at E3 that year. That was the first one open to the public. And so I went to see the Xbox One X demo, the theater demo. And they were showing off Minecraft. It looked amazing. But from what I understand, that never rolled out. And I think it might be because they're like, we can do so much more with the ray tracing stuff. And so we're just going to go in that direction and just wait until next gen.
Yeah, it'll look great. So I mean, people are happy.
People don't care.
People don't care. Yeah, people are still gonna play Minecraft. Minecrafters are gonna Minecraft. What are you gonna do about it? Let's see. So I'm kind of making up my order as I go because I have like backups, and I'm like kind of like maybe I'll talk about this one.
I do have a backup in case the next one you say is my number one. So I just thought of one on the fly.
I don't think I don't know. I don't think I'm going to because I know my number one is one you've already played, and I don't know if this is on your list. I'll be really shocked if it is. But I'm going to go with this one. My number two is Police Knots.
Oh man, yeah, I want to play that and Snatcher so bad.
I do too, man. I want to play both of them.
Why haven't they re-released those? Well, I mean, Police Knots never came out here, but
Police Knots never came out here, but on the internet you can get a fan translation for it. You can play it that way. I have seen it played through, and I got it. This is a rare occasion where I didn't finish the playthrough because I want to play this and I don't want to spoil the story. So that says a lot lot it. Now
let the listeners know. Okay, because
I was just gonna say, for those
obscure.
of you for those of you who don't know what Police Knots is, Hideo Kojima, little developer, you probably never heard of him. He's not very popular or anything. He made a couple games before he started making the Metal Gear series. Made Snatcher and another game.
These would have been before Metal Gear Solid, but he'd already made Metal Gear, I believe, before Snatcher.
Did he make Metal Gear?
He did make Metal Gear. Yeah.
Okay. Because
Metal Gear, like there is a Metal Gear in Snatcher. It's obviously not the same Metal Gear, but it's a reference.
Okay.
Yeah.
This all makes a lot of sense because from what I'll get into it here, but he made these other two games. Snatcher I'm a little unfamiliar with. I've never actually seen it in action. I should go watch it. Or I have seen it. But what is the play like? Is it a point and click? Like Police Knots is a point and click adventure that Hideo Kojima wrote.
Like they're basically the same type of gameplay. Okay. I never understood if Police Knots was supposed to be a sequel or if it was just a game in the same vein. I want to say there might be some tenuous connections between it and Snatcher.
There's tenuous connections between all of his games.
Meryl shows up in one of those games.
I was just gonna say Meryl shows up in Police Knots. Meryl from Foxhound, and I believe she is from Foxhound, shows up in Police Knots. There's no other like Metal Gear stuff or anything. It's just Meryl Silverberg, and you're like, yeah, that's Meryl, red hair and all, same haircut and everything. Like it's actually really cool. I like Police Knots from like what I've seen. I like it's basically like a space noir story. It's kind of like it's very Cowboy Bebop-ish. Just like the guy's smoking cigarettes all the time. He's just like a down on his luck detective. Gets one last case. He's got to go to, I think it's a space station. I can't remember exactly the story. It's been a little while, but it's really cool. There's like some things with people with white blood because it's like artificial blood. It's really interesting and weird, but it's a point and click adventure, which I feel maybe the best fit for Hideo Kojima's writing, actually. I know that's a weird thing to say because Metal Gear is Metal Gear's a good written game, but it goes well with his tendency to love to over-explain things. Like when you click on a thing, the guy it gives you a detailed explanation, and it works in a point-and-click adventure game really well when you're just like, yeah, this is this, and this is the history behind this thing. Like you're just like, oh yeah, I'm just because it's a game about reading. Where in like Death Stranding, when you get stuff like that, it's kind of like, I don't know, this is why do you're over-explaining this? I wish you would leave this a little bit more ambiguous. But like, I really feel like that style of game really fits his writing really well. And again, there's some weird action elements to it as well. Like there's like, like mouse cursor shooting type stuff. And it looks a little awkward, but still there's something really charming about it. And I really like the art. I really think it's
dude. Like that's what I was going to say. Like lately I've been having this craving for like gritty 80s anime, and that is Snatcher and Police Knots.
Absolutely.
When you think like if you think about like Macross or like older Gundam or even parts of Project A-ko, like that era of anime, Bubblegum Crisis, right? That type of stuff. Like I have even though I didn't watch a lot of anime from that era, I still have an affinity for it because there was a lot of video games that used that art style back then. Right. And I just love it. It's very like sleek and detailed and gritty. Like I know I said that already.
I was just gonna say really it kind of has a grain to it that's really impossible to reproduce, as the word I'm looking for. I don't know why I blanked there, but yeah, it's a really cool game. I really want to play it. And also, fun fact about it for Metal Gear fans out there, the opening jingle to Metal Gear Solid, that dun 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 dun, that little dealio.
Mm-hmm.
If you played that game, you know it. That is from the Police Not soundtrack. That is
cool.
Straight. That is the like main theme of that game, which is a cool little Easter egg type deal. When I seen that, I was like,
today.
Oh, that's where that came from. That's really cool. Yeah, like Hideo Kojima, like he ties a lot of his shit together. I think when he was at Konami, that was a really cool thing that he did, and it was never like. It never seemed over the top or anything. It was just like a lot of like, hey, remember this little thing from this game or this character, and that's neat stuff. I appreciate that stuff. So
I will say that I don't think that's just Kojima. Like I feel that used to be like a big hallmark of Konami and also Capcom. Because if you remember, like Zone of the Enders 2. Like one of the characters in there, his runner is named the Vic Viper, which is the plane or the spaceship from Gradius and Life Force. And it's like, it doesn't need any explanation, but it's like, if you know, you're like, that's really cool, you know, and Capcom would do a lot of that stuff too. Like, I mean, a lot of the easy examples is like when you would see Final Fight characters show up in the backgrounds in Street Fighter games or vice versa. Just little things like that. And I always dug stuff like that.
Yeah, they still do it.
At
least like RE Resident Evil 3 Remake has a toy store that has the original box art for Mega Man, like in like a big display thing. Like it's that's original box art Mega Man. Like it's bad. It's great. It's awesome.
And there's also a movie poster that is literally like a story about Dr. Light and Dr. Wily. Like,
yes, I really want the remake series to be a prequel to the Mega Man games. At some point, that's what happens. I want this I need this in my life, because I seen that poster too. I was like, oh god, that'd be amazing, wouldn't it? Yeah, that's my pick for that one. I thought it was a good one.
Awesome. All right, well, I'm going to pull up Patrick real quick, because I do want to just say this one that I thought of real quick, because I now know that my number one is not going to be on your list.
You're good.
But the one I just thought of has two names. The Japanese name was Tenchi Sozo, Creation of Heaven and Earth. But it did get an English release only in Europe under the name Terranigma.
Of course, Terranigma. Yes.
This is a game that I own it. I actually have the PAL Super Nintendo cartridge, and I think that it will run on my Retron 5, but I've never popped it in. I still have not played this game, but I remembered seeing preview coverage for it, or not, import coverage for it in Die Hard Game Fan magazine. And this is a game from Enix before the Square Enix merger, and you know, it was Quintet, so it was the people who made Illusion of Gaia and Soul Blazer, and this was their third game.
Yep.
And it's really cool. Going back to like Minecraft, it was a game. It was a role playing game, but a big aspect of it. Oh, sorry, they also made ActRaiser. A big aspect of this game was, creating the world, like ActRaiser. And I want to play it so badly. And I've heard that, like, for its time, because it was one of the last Super Nintendo games. It was very late.
Right.
So like graphically, it's like one of the top games. And then I've heard the music is fantastic from people that I've heard that played it, but I've never gotten around to it.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out. Yeah, I'd love to watch a playthrough of it. I know of it. I've heard the name a million times, and it always sounded really interesting because I've heard as much as you have, pretty much. But I've never actually sat down and like watched somebody play through it. That'd be, I don't know, it may be a little awkward to watch because it's reading. Obviously, it's not voice acted. That makes it tough to watch old RPGs, but that is a cool game. It always sounded really neat. It's a shame that it never came out here.
There's a handful of Super Nintendo games that never got released over here that I think could make a pretty decent amount of money if they would even just use fan translations and put them out. We finally got Secret of Mana 3, which I haven't played yet. But like, Terranigma is one, Bahamut Lagoon from Square is another one. Gun Hazard, which is a front mission action, like side-scrolling game.
Oh man,
which I also own but haven't played.
Man, the front mission games are awesome. Those are such good games.
Like those are all, like, I would love to see those games. Anyway, but no, my actual number one is EVE Online.
Yes,
Justin,
I figured you were going to have that as your number one. I specifically avoided it. I am good at predicting Julian Titus. Go ahead.
Justin, I don't even know what the fuck EVE Online is. I have never even seen a screenshot of this game. If you put it in a lineup, I could not point it out to you. Like, I don't know what the interface looks like. I don't know what the graphics are. I don't even know if it's in 3D or not. Like, for all I know, it could just be like a text adventure. I got no idea. But I
don't know what it looks like either.
I love hearing stories about EVE Online. Now, for listeners who may not know, this is also an MMO, but it's set in space, and it's I think the way that you start is like you start with like just a very basic ship, and then you're trying to like basically, it's like space capitalism, the game.
Right.
You're trying to like make money in order to get a better ship or upgrade your current ship, and there's a lot of things that you can do. You can join up with certain companies, and you can be like a captain or an engineer or a merchant, and there's all these different tracks that you can do. But it is like the epitome of PC game with, it's just like spreadsheet the game. But the stories that have come out of it over the years, because this game has it's not a hugely like successful game, but the people who play it are very passionate about it, to the point that there's a summit every year with the top players of the game and the developers. I think they're over in like the Netherlands or something like that. But they like the people from all over the world who are like the top players in the game, like they go to this thing and they actually talk with the developers and say, look, this is like, they dictate policy. Like, it's not dictate design. They're talking about policy, because it's literally like an economic convention, about the economic state of this game, because there have been stories about like these massive wars where people lost hundreds of literal dollars, hundreds of thousands of literal dollars in in-game stuff, because it's a game that allows you to actually buy and sell with real money, ships and stuff like that. And there was, I think you know this one, Justin, but there was one where someone literally infiltrated this corporation, and basically took them down from the inside. I think he took their shields down or something like that, and like basically like the people he was working for just like came in en masse, and just like annihilated like a bunch of their giant like cruisers and stuff like that. It was like hundreds of thousands of actual dollars that they lost in this battle. That's insane.
Yes. That guy like did, apparently, I think if I remember right, that was like years in the making. Something like that. And like this guy just went about his business, worked his way up to be like one of the like top people for these other guys, and then pulled flipped the switch basically, and just all hell broke loose. There's another story that I heard where like, apparently one thing you can do is like kind of hang out on planets and stuff, and like there was like a guy who would just like, all he wanted to do was just be a miner. Like he would just go, and he had like the same routine. He'd get on at the same time every day, go do his mining, get off, and like some dude just was like, I'm gonna fuck with this guy, and like just made his life a living hell. And like, and it's kind of bad because I feel bad for him in that story. I remember there's some really good articles about EVE Online stories. They're all so amazing. Like the way that game is set up is so mind-boggling. It's way over my head. Put it that way.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because I don't know if this might have been before you were on the show, but like, There's a Japanese Netflix show called Dad of Light, which is about like a Japanese guy in his early 20s who finds out that his dad has started to play Final Fantasy 14, and he tries to befriend him in the game to try and learn more about his dad, because his dad is very like emotionally closed off. It was very good. It made me cry like a baby. But but that made me think that there is a awesome like documentary style limited series that you could do out of EVE Online that I think would be amazing. Phenomenal.
Oh, somebody should definitely pull the trigger on that. Oh man, yeah, that'd be great. I mean, wait till all this current shit blows over and then do it. But yes, that would be amazing. I would watch that I would watch that. I would totally watch that. I don't watch a whole lot of stuff.
You could do it either way. You could do it at like an actual documentary style about stuff that's happened, or you could do a fictional thing of just people dicking each other over in this virtual world. Like you get the real life people, but then you also get them in the game, and then just like the dichotomy of like,
I would do both.
You know that like some of the most powerful people in EVE Online have the shittiest lives in real life, right?
Oh yeah,
like that.
I would do both. I would be showing. I would want to show like that summit. We would have to. Oh my god, we'd have to film that, right? Like you have to show that. You have to like. You'd have to like tell some of the stories. Like that would be maybe the first episode as a setup thing. Like have these like people that actually did this shit tell these stories, get people interested. Then like our next episode. Now we're gonna go into like what they're doing right now, what they're setting up, and all this shit and doing. Man, it'd be interesting. Yeah, I'd watch that. I'd be super into that.
Definitely. I'm super into your number one now. What do you got for us?
All right. Well, you made an honorable mention. I'm gonna make an honorable mention too, because why not?
Fuck it.
Yeah, why not? It'll be quick. Fucking what? Oh shit! What was it? Oh my god! The Last of Us, of course. Duh. Why couldn't I not think of the name? The Last of Us. Yeah, I never played that game. Don't want to play it. I think the gameplay looks a little boring a lot of the time. But man, that story is really good, and it is a cinematic experience when you just sit there and kind of like watch, just the story parts. Really good. I remember like when that game came out, the zombie genre in general. This is weird because I'm a real big coward, but I love the zombie genre. It's just it's one of my favorite things. And I remember making somebody who knew nothing about video games, didn't care about them. I was like, you need to sit down and watch the opening of this game. This shit's awesome. Like, because it was so emotional and cool. And I really like that. I love, the whole arc that goes on there. I don't want to play it because, like I said, it seems boring, a little, scary, spooky in spots, and I'm good. But that's that game. See, I didn't have much to say about it. That's why
I will say real quick that like the intro to Last of Us is particularly chilling for me because it's in Austin, and there's a part where like they actually did a pretty good recreation of the downtown Austin skyline. I'm like, shit, that's where I live.
That game's cool. But my number one is one I know you have played multiple times and are very good at. It is the Resident Evil GameCube remake. I fucking love that game.
So good.
I'm a big fan of like all the Resident Evils. I know a ton of shit about them. There's a lot of them that I've like touched for a couple hours or whatever. Like I know I played like Code Veronica. I played Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 5. I know I've touched Resident Evil 2 a few times. I don't think I ever messed with 3. But I never played the remake of Resident Evil 1 because never had a GameCube. That was just not a system I was into at the time. And the person that I knew who had a GameCube didn't care about Resident Evil. They cared about Animal Crossing. So, yeah, I just pissed somebody off. But whatever. That remake is awesome. I watched it really recently. And I'd watched it before, but it had been a long time. And it was they were playing it on the PC, and they modded it a little bit. There's a little tiny, it just kind of cleans up some of the backgrounds, like the textures and stuff. Oh my God, it looks modern day. It's that game. I mean,
I played it on Xbox One just a couple years ago, and it still looks fantastic.
It holds up so well. The lighting stuff they do is incredible. I think a lot of the changes that they make and just like little tiny gameplay changes just to throw you off from like if you played the first game, like they switched like a lot of the scares up. They throw in the Crimson Heads. I think that I know that's probably a frustrating game mechanic to some degree, but it also kind of adds an extra element to like your hardcore Resident Evil player that like plays those games over and over again, to the aspect of cleaning an area where like if you're weird or if you're not me, I guess, and you don't know what that means, it means you an area that you're going to go through a lot of times in a Resident Evil game. You want to clear it out of all potential threats because you're going to be going through that area a lot of times. So you want to get rid of everything there. It's like you spend the ammo, you get rid of those things. But in RE Remake, you have to light them on fire or else they'll turn into crimson heads and they will kill you very, very hard. Super hard. Harder than you've ever seen. Not that hard. But I like a lot of the little
suck.
Yeah, they do suck. Yeah. So light the bodies on fire is what I'm saying. But I like it keeps a lot of the original elements. The things it changes for the better a lot of the time. Mm-hmm. I really dig like the additional monster that they added of Lisa. I think she's really cool.
Yeah, good backstory to her as well.
Yeah, really cool backstory. Really like hauntingly sad backstory. Like it's really neat. I think. And, like they're remaking the new ones. I really like the new ones, too. This is probably maybe a case like, years down the line, I might go, man, RE2 remake is so fucking good, too. But that remake, like just seeing it and knowing when it came out, because, I was in high school when that came out. And I remember, seeing it and being like blown away at the time. I was like, man, that looks really good. That looks better than anything I'm playing on PlayStation 2 or whatever. And just seeing it now, I'm just like, wow, it still looks good. It still holds up and it's still really awesome. Like you're just a classic Resident Evil game. Like, man, I think that game's awesome. And it's funny. I don't play the games a lot. Like I tried the RE2 remake and I was like, okay, I got to go down this hallway and I'm not doing it. I'm done. That's usually where it ends up. Like it's me in a hallway and me knowing what's at the end of the hallway and being like, nah, I'm good. But I love those games. I think they're awesome. And that by far, like when I seen it again, because I think the person playing it had just got done playing Code Veronica, and Code Veronica doesn't hold up so well. At least in my opinion. I don't think
it doesn't hold up like the HD ones they did. Like that one needs more tender love and care. But I think that the actual like story and puzzles of Code Veronica are really good. And also some of like it's got one of my favorite video game cutscenes of all time, which is at the beginning of the game when Claire, like, there's this guard that like
that is awesome. Yeah. That opening
they actually used it in one of the Resident Evil live action movies.
Yeah, she like dives down and like she like drops her gun or something,
and dives
falls to the floor, grabs a gun. Oh yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, that is real cool. Claire's cool too. Yeah, remakes, man. I would like them to remake that game and kind of switch certain things up again, but they have to do the original first. Like that's why I think they should do the original. Anyway, we'll get to that later. But that's my number one. I really dig that game. I think it's so cool. Might be my favorite Resident Evil to watch, and that says a lot because I just thought when I was watching, I was just like blown away by how much it held up and how like crisp everything was and just how true to the formula it was, but like still added just enough. And like there was like weird little triggers, like you might get one scare if you walk down this hallway, you might never get it. You never know, and it varies every time. And
what they did with the dog hallway is real. Like that was fantastic. Because when I went there, I was bracing for it. I was like, oh, that's real smart, guys. Yep. That's real good.
Oh, it's awesome.
And then it got me again. It got me later, like just as good as it did in the first time that I played the original. Because I was like, oh, okay, shit.
Yeah, it's so cool. It's such a cool game. But yeah, that's definitely it. Definitely my number one.
I will say that if any listeners are interested in watching it, you should check out the Awesome Games Done Quick playthroughs by Carcinogen. He's real cool, and like he does like some. I think he's done like some no damage runs, and he's done like some like world record runs, and it's pretty amazing. Like
I believe
the way that he jukes around the zombies and stuff. Is like, oh, I didn't even know you could do that.
Yeah,
he's using the updated controls, which I don't. I'm tank controls for life, but.
Yeah. The person I watched play through it, they were doing a marathon. They were, starting from the original, going all the way to 6. 6 is bad. 6 is such a bad game. He finally finished that game, and oh my god, that game is so bad. Like it's unbelievable how bad 6 is. Like it's like I'm just watching the game, and I'm like. And like he'll be like, you can tell by the look on his face, on the guy's face who's playing it. This Pat stares at. There's a good Twitch channel. He also has a YouTube thing if you want to check that out. You can tell by the look on his face, he's just thinking something. And I'm like, and usually you're watching the game, you're like, why would that ever happen? Why in the hell? How does Ada Wong do this? What is happening? This is the worst revelation. Oh, it's so bad. The game's bad. It's fucking terrible, and I hate it. Don't ever remake it. Just pretend it didn't exist. That's what I say about Resident Evil 6.
Right.
Anyway. That's it for me, I think. I think I'm good. Are you good, right. Julian?
I'm good.
All right.
We should probably move on to listener feedback.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and start with Facebook because we got one from our regular contributor, Adam Bradbury. Hello, Adam. And he says, he says, the only game I can think of that I like but haven't played is Beat Saber. I'm waiting for a sale to get it on PSVR with the Green Day and Imagine Dragons songs. My wife is not a gamer, though, so she likes to watch me play games like Skyrim and Final Fantasy VII. Sometimes when I play Worms, she will tell me what weapon to use. Oh, you should play Worms with your wife. Worms is so good.
That is an easy to understand game for most people because it's not action based and it's basically okay. Like I mentioned my sister a lot because my sister is a non-gamer. My sister would love Worms. Like I know for a fact she would love it. So
yeah,
if your wife is a non-gamer, like sure, try to get her into Worms. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You know, sometimes people don't get into things. It happens. But yeah, you should do that.
Oh, I should probably bring up pixelbit.com. Oh,
anyway,
okay.
Beat Saber, that's a cool game. I'm not a VR guy.
I know nothing about it.
It's you hit it's a VR game. You grab you use the controllers and you swing lightsabers to like song music. I
have seen that.
Notes come at you. It's kind of like Guitar Hero, but you're hitting things with lightsabers. It's pretty neat. It's apparently it's really good exercise too. So
I can see that.
Yeah, if you're at home and you have VR, go nuts, I guess. Get your workout on. All right. Are we starting on Pixelbit now, Julian?
Yes, sir.
All right. If you go to pixelbit.com, you can also leave a comment, and your comment may sound like this. And this one's by Casey Curran. He's a person that exists. And he said, I don't know why I said that. That was weird. Anyway, he said, I make myself laugh. He says his number 3 is Snatcher. Good fucking pick. Hideo Kojima and Cyberpunk feel like a perfect match. I'm bitter at Konami because this will be on the TurboGrafx 16 Mini, but only in Japanese. Not surprised because it's Konami, but still bitter.
I'm fucking bitter too because I have that on pre-order. It did get delayed because of the COVID stuff, but I do have one coming eventually. And when I heard that because I didn't even know that there was a TurboGrafx version of Snatcher, and then when I found out about this, I was so pissed.
yeah, that sucks. At that point. Oh, no.
Because it's been translated for the Sega CD version. Yeah. So just do it. Just do it.
I don't know. Maybe Konami just really hates America now. They just hate us. So they're just like, anything Kojima did, because you people all like him so much, fuck that guy. We won't give you any of it. Like, I don't know. Maybe they're just really sticking it to us. I mean, it feels that way sometimes.
I think it's more of sticking it to Kojima type thing. Like I'm kind of surprised that it's on even the Japanese version.
I'm joking. Yeah, no, that's probably it.
That's what Japanese companies do.
Yeah.
So
they're kind of dicks. His number 2 is a game called Burning Rangers.
Rangers. Sorry, I have to do that every time.
All right, I'm sorry, I didn't know that was the custom. I won't remember
the theme song is so fantastic.
I know I've heard of this game. This is another one I've never actually sat down and watched. This was for let's reread what he says. He says, I love weird Sega games, and an action platform about firefighters in the future sounds like something I'm really missing out on. Was that for Saturn?
It was one of the final Saturn games that came out in America. You had Burning Rangers, Panzer Dragoon Saga, Shining Force 3, and Magical Knight Rayearth. Those were the final games that came out for the Saturn in America. Right. And of those games, I personally like Shining Force 3 and Burning Rangers the most. Yeah. And Burning Rangers, honestly, like when I saw it in action, I was like, this is how you make a 3D Metroid game. And I still say that to this day. Like, if you ever look at footage of Burning Rangers, like it just works because it's very mobile and fast, and it's third person. It's really cool, and it's anime as hell. And again, like, seek out both the Japanese and American versions of the theme song and thank me later.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, I keep thinking you're definitely onto something there, because I've always thought that I would really like to see a Metroid game or a Metroid Prime, whatever, in a third-person perspective. Yeah. I think that'd be really cool because you're in such a Samus has such a cool design. Why wouldn't you want to see it? Like that never has made sense to me that you put it in first person. I know people like those games and they're probably great. I get it.
They are, but there's a tantalizing moment at the beginning of Metroid Prime where the camera, the camera rotates around Samus, and then it kind of hovers behind her, and it kind of hesitates for just a moment where you're like, oh, maybe it's in third person after. Oh no, I'm in her helmet.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah. I know it's a cool HUD thing to do with the helmet, but man, she has such a cool design, man. Just embrace it. I really wish they'd go that route. Anyway. His number one here is a game that, we'll get into it, is Panzer Dragoon Saga. I'm not sure if I'd like this game since I often bounce off 5th gen RPGs, but an RPG about riding dragons sounds fun. The 8 people who played it insist it's one of the greatest RPGs ever made, and it's another weird Sega game that looks so good.
So, I am one of the 8 people who played it?
I was just going to say, yep.
You ain't missing anything. It's fine.
Right.
It is an RPG that you can probably beat in about 12 hours. It's very short. Right. And, it's one of the games that really lays bare how poor the Sega Saturn was at doing 3D graphics.
Right.
The coolest part of it is that you could morph your dragon for different abilities, and you could do it, I think, anytime. So you could make it like strong and heavy and slow, or you could make it sleek and narrow and fast, and all permutations in between. That was really neat. And it's if I remember, it had a decent enough story. But you're talking about a game that was on 5 Saturn discs and is that short, and especially for the money that it goes for now, nah, son, I'm sorry.
That's probably why it's that much money, because it's 5 discs. I didn't realize it was 5 discs.
Oh no, it's that much money because I think that there were 60,000 copies that came out in the States.
Too. It was a very limited print run, but yeah, I mean that's probably why it was a limited print run, because they were 5 discs for this fucking thing. Jesus, we can't make that many. I don't know what goes into game production, but
and also the Saturn was I'm honestly surprised that those last 4 games even came out. The thing is that the Saturn was doing so poorly at that point. I'm surprised that those last 4 games came out at all, because they were all, except for Burning Rangers, they were all games that needed extensive localization. They were all RPGs.
Yeah.
So I'm really shocked. I mean, now granted, Shining Force 3 is notorious for having some of the worst voice acting ever, because it's legit one of those games that they probably just got George from accounting to do the main character's voice, because it's that bad. But even so, also, it's got voice acting. It's got English voice acting.
Right. I mean, the Japanese are, especially in that era, were really bad about voice acting because they thought Americans and people of the West sounded a certain way. That's why the Resident Evil voice acting, the original Resident Evil voice acting, is so bad, because that's how they wanted them to sound. That's how they thought it should sound. So they made them do it like that, really play it up like this. It was awful. It's funny, you can't, apparently and confirm or deny this for me, because this may or may not be true, but is the original person who did Jill's voice in Resident Evil, is that like nobody knows who it actually is?
There's actually a really good video about there's a guy who actually has found a lot of those original Resident Evil voice actors and live actors.
Interesting.
I forget the guy's name. But if you search, I think it's like the search for Jill Valentine or something like that in YouTube, you should find them. Cause he did one for like the guy who played Barry Burton in the FMV, who I think I think he actually did play the voice in the game as well. But most of the people who are the like actors in the FMV parts are just in the FMV. And apparently like, that whole thing was like a shit show. Like,
oh, I believe it.
Yeah. But yeah, there was some pretty interesting stuff in there, and they were able to find awesome. Jill. Yeah. Okay, so moving on. Next up is San Andreas, who actually has some Saturn games as well. It almost makes you think that maybe Sega should get on doing something about that. I know that those games are hard to remaster and stuff, but maybe something should be done. But San Andreas starts off with Sakura Wars 2 for Saturn. I love the 5th game in the series, which was the last PS2 game I bought new 10 years ago. Wow. And I love the strategy RPGs of that pedigree in general, which includes Valkyria Chronicles. I'm not sure about, because I thought that like, San Andreas, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought that I understood that like none of the Sakura Wars games had come out stateside, but there is one that's coming for PS4 this year, and I'm super stoked about it because I do want to try these games. If people don't know, they're strategy RPGs set in like an alternate like World War II era, but everybody has like steampunk mechs, and it's also a dating sim.
Okay. There you go. Okay, I'd play that. Yeah, I'd play that. You throw in dating sim, I'm like, okay, all right, I'll try anything with that because they're usually hilarious. Yeah, that sounds great. I'm definitely into tactical RPG with dating sim elements. That sounds amazing. I'm in.
Yeah. Next up, San Andreas says Burning Rangers for Saturn. He says, as Casey said above, it looks like fun. Another one-upper did a really neat write-up on Burning Rangers. And he says, side note, I actually own Panzer Dragoon Saga and have played it. Its battle system has a lot of shooting elements from the shooter games in it, which is true. It's actually much more of a... It's really Panzer Dragoon 2, but with more storyline and stats. Like that's really what it is.
Yeah, that's always the vibe I got from it. Was just one of those Panzer Dragoon games, but like maybe, a little bit more story, just like you explained. Yeah, that sounds exactly how I always envisioned it to be. I didn't even really picture it as an RPG, more of just a flying shooting game. That was always how I saw it as. Yeah,
it's got inventory, like there's items.
Yeah, that's okay. I guess that's an RPG then. Yeah, sure. Inventory and items. Do you level up?
Yes.
Okay.
Actually,
all right, there you go.
It may be more of an RPG than Final Fantasy VII Remake. Oh!
Ooh, ouch. You dropped the hammer on him. My shipment for my big Final Fantasy Remake package did ship. Nice. Anybody who was pretend concerned about that, we're good to go, I guess.
No, I'll
believe it when it gets here.
Because I haven't heard anything about mine. I just have the deluxe one coming. Yeah. I had it being delivered to Best Buy instead of delivering to me, which now seems like a really bad idea.
Well,
that. Well, it's probably too late now.
Yeah,
they're doing like curbside pickup, so hopefully
you can do that.
Yeah.
You get to feel like a Death Stranding man and go out. You should start wearing all that stuff. I need to do that. I need to get almost like the full jumpsuit and just like the cool hood that automatically comes up and just walk around with like a fetus attached to my chest. That'd be cool.
Dude, like the time that we're living in, I regret not getting that collector's edition of Death Stranding that has the baby in the tank. Just like strap that sucker to your chest.
Damn it, that would have been great. Oh man. So let's see, we're on. What's that?
There's a really good Mega 64 video where they did Death Stranding, and they have him like just running around like Los Angeles with like all this shit on his back, and Kojima's actually in the video. Like
I think I seen that. I think you might have sent that to me. I can't remember. Yeah, it sounds great, even if I haven't seen it. After that, we have Extrian. He has some words to say about video games. He says his number 3 is, oh boy, Skyrim. I still don't know how I've never played this. I don't know either. It's on everything. You can play it on Alexa, for God's sakes. I think it's most likely due to the close release with Dark Souls, which became one of my favorite games ever. Skyrim makes the list for epic dragon battles, awesome magic attacks, and the insane exploration. I actually bought it recently, but haven't played it yet, so I can still correct this mistake. Well, okay. I'll get into this later, but it depends on what you're playing it on there, Extrian, because like I can't play Skyrim without modding it. That's just a thing I can't do. I've seen the glorious light that is fucking up your game and trying to fix it for days on end. More on that later. Yeah. Awesome magic attack. Man, the older ones were a lot better than Skyrim was. Like, I really have like a fondness for the old Oblivion magic and the old Morrowind magic, just because I used to love those games had, I think Oblivion had it, but you could make your own spell eventually. Like when you acquired enough magic ability, you could like create a spell, and you could just make the most OP shit or totally cheese the game and make really weak spells and do them over and over as you walked around to level up your stats, like stuff like that. It was really cool, and like you could take advantage of it. Skyrim doesn't have that, but you could probably mod it in there. So, look into doing that. Also, you get to play with cool Black Desert Online armor, and that shit's rad. But anyway,
that's a thing that it's kind of funny, because as games have become more visually impressive, I feel RPGs have really missed out on being able to do real awesome face melting spell effects. Like think about like how spells looked in like Final Fantasy 6 and 7. And then imagine what that would be like extrapolated into today's graphics, but they don't do it. Like, because everything is so fast paced now, that it's like, oh no, we just got it. We can't have these animations be very long or do these dynamic things. It's like, no, but I want that shit.
Dude, imagine a mature rated game that had RE2 remake or RE3 remake, the Resident Evil engine type gore tech, like almost like Soldier of Fortune, but updated. And like you cast a fireball spell and their flesh just fucking like blows off of them and melts their skin and shit. It'd be traumatizing, but awesome. I would play that.
Not really where I was going with that, but I could be into that too. I was more thinking about like, imagine casting Ultima, but like it's like, detonating a mini nuke that, turn like just like just particle effects everywhere. It's like they don't do that.
That'd be cool too, but we have two ideas now. I like mine too. I want that game. I'd play the shit out of that. His number 2 is Final Fantasy XIV. This game seems epic, and everything I've heard makes me want to play it so much more. The story is supposed to be amazing, and I've always been really intrigued to play an MMO, but just never have. This makes the list for amazing music, story, and being an MMO. Another title I currently own and will definitely play soon. Oh, there you go.
I will say, Extrian, as someone who just jumped back in, it is an excellent time to play Final Fantasy XIV because there are so many new players. So there's tons of people that will be, starting the game with you. I mean, not that it's difficult to get like higher level players to help you, because that's literally the way the game is built. Eventually you get so high level that you're just like, you do like your dailies and it just groups you in with random people to do dungeons and stuff, and you don't know what you're going to get. Yeah. And so people who are actually trying to go through the story or fight bosses get paired up with those players, and you all get level synced. It works really well. But even cool. So, there are a lot of brand new players running around right now, and that's pretty neat. And also right now, if you want to get your furry on, the Easter event is going on, and I now have a rabbit suit complete with buck teeth. And it's horrifying, and I love it.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I do want to see, the only thing I want to see out of Final Fantasy 14 right now, I could go look it up and watch it, but and I do love the music of it, is that Nier thing. Just because I just love the song. The Final Fantasy remix of like Nier Automata music is really cool. Like that shit's awesome.
I will say that game got real weird because like I was with a friend and then she had the regalia mount from Final Fantasy 15, and it's really weird to see a fucking car in that game. And then also like someone hopped by me on a neon cactuar that was decked out in like Christmas gear. And now my fat chocobo mount can also fly, which he couldn't do before. Okay. And I mean, the fat chocobo is so good in that game. He's so adorable. He wants that cabbage so bad, Justin, and he can't get it. He just can't.
I believe it. I feel sorry for him now. Yeah, that sounds off the rails in a magnificent way, and I kind of like the idea behind that.
Yeah.
So after that, he has his number 1, and I'm gonna butcher the shit out of this. Forgive me in advance. It is Zengeki no Regenleave.
Sounds right to me, because I don't think the last word is actually Japanese.
No, it's definitely not. That looks German. The first two are definitely Japanese, and then the last thing is definitely German. Anyway, he says about this game, if I'm correct, this is loosely translated to Norse Defense Force. This was a game for the original Wii that only released in Japan. It was supposed to be a melee take on the Earth Defense Force gameplay where you swing swords, axes, and other melee weapons to take down giant enemies. I always wanted this to come stateside, but it never did. Considering it was on Wii probably means it wouldn't hold up well and may have just outright sucked, but I stand by my enthusiasm and proclaim I would love it like I do the EDF series. Unfortunately, I don't own this and probably never will.
Okay, let's put the cards on the table. Like, all EDF games kind of suck a little bit because that's part of the charm. So I think it would hold up just fine. And having said that, this sounds awesome, and I wish that this had come out.
Yeah, it sounds. You know what it kind of sounds like? And this is a weird take. I haven't seen this game. I just from his description, and I haven't seen anything about it. I never even heard of this game because that's way off my radar. And Julian hasn't heard of it either. That's you just impressed me. But it sounds like the new. I think Koei Tecmo makes them, but they're the Attack on Titan games. Like they kind of have like that, but they have more of like, you know, the zip line thing going on, and you do the things with the big Titan guys. They always look cool. They always seem neat. People seem to like them because they made 2 of them. So I don't know. But yeah, that sounds neat. I'm into it.
And I'm a big fan of Norse stuff in general, and I think that it's underutilized in video games. I got real excited because there was the people who made what was that PS2 game? I think it was Ragnarok. No, it was something else. Rune, yes.
Yeah.
They were making a sequel, and apparently they went out of business. Like I think it went into like early access, and then they went out of business, and I was very sad.
Wasn't Rune? Didn't they get? Wasn't there more than one Rune? Am I wrong? I keep thinking
there might have been more than one Rune, but there hadn't been one since that PS2 game.
Okay.
I think there might have been a PC one that came out before the PS2 game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I keep thinking Human Head made him.
I think you're right, and I think that's who went out of business.
Yeah, I mean, because they made fucking The Quiet Man, and God knows that was an abomination. I feel bad for them. And they also made the original the Native American first person shooter Prey. Yeah, it came to me. Yeah, they also made the original that, and that game was amazing for its time. That game was really cool. Like, I watched that pretty recently. It was really awesome.
And the sequel that they were working on looked really cool too for Prey. Like that original, if you ever look at the old Prey 2 stuff, that game was looking real cool. It had nothing to do with the original Prey, but then again, neither did the one that came out a couple of years ago either. So
right, yeah,
it's just a name.
You might get your wish with the Norse stuff, though. I mean, they're making since what was it, God of War? You know, that took off and was really popular. Now we're seeing like Assassin's Creed's going that route.
Yeah, we had Hellblade. Like there is some good stuff out there.
Yeah, it's they're coming around on that stuff. So hopefully, you know.
Yeah. All right. Well, next up is Jamie Alston, who says, "Okay, here we go." Okay, he does that thing where it starts with 1, so I'm just going to go with it, Justin. All
right.
I'm just going to go in that order. I'm not going to count it the other way.
No, don't do it.
Yeah. He says, Mass Effect 2. While I did enjoy Mass Effect 1 on the PS3 Trilogy Collection, I still haven't gotten around to playing Mass Effect 2. But it is very much one of my favorite games I've never played. For years, I've heard everyone give this game such high praise as they go into depth about the crew members and missions they embark on. And after hearing you guys talk about it some months back, I feel as if I've played the game already, although I clearly did not. Still, I get a really good feeling about Mass Effect 2 anytime someone talks about it, and I hope to play it sometime before the next decade. You should definitely get on that. I mean, as you know, Jamie, like I prefer Mass Effect 1, but that's not to say that Mass Effect 2 is not phenomenal.
Yeah, it's really good. I personally think it has like the strongest writing in the series.
Yeah.
I really
Best
dig
characters.
it. Yeah, and us talking about it really probably doesn't do it justice from playing it. Like it depends on you're going to notice like when you go back to it, like there's a lot of that era third person shooting, you know, cover based stuff in it. Yeah. And some of that's like a little like tedious if you're a big RPG guy, but if you don't care about that, you'll still have a good time. Like it's not hard. It's not like, you know, in your face bullshit or anything like that. And the writing's just top tier. It's really good. You should definitely get on that, but I won't judge you because you haven't. It's just, I'm telling you that you will enjoy it, I think.
Those goddamn heat sinks. It's wrong, Justin. It breaks the fucking lore.
I'm sorry, man. I didn't do it. Okay, I'm sorry. I apologize on behalf of BioWare.
Yeah,
actually, it's probably not their fault.
No, that's just gonna say that is straight up some EA machinations.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say it was probably EA's bullshit. So.
Yeah. All right. Next up, Jamie says Radiant Silvergun for Sega Saturn. He says, if memory serves correctly, Radiant Silvergun is a spiritual predecessor to Ikaruga, right? Yes, you are right. I've always wanted to play Radiant Silvergun because I kept hearing how awesome it was on the Sega Saturn. And although I do have the console and the ability to play import games on it, the game just costs too much money these days. I guess it will just have to remain a legendary shooter in my mind. And yeah, that's another one of those games where it's great, but it is not worth the exorbitant amount that you're going to pay for it. And I do think Ikaruga is a better game anyway. So, you know, it is really pretty. It's a prettier game than Ikaruga because it's a lot more colorful. But I mean, I'm also not a huge fan of the bullet hell genre in general. Right. So there's
that was more Angelo's deal. I'm terrible at those games, so I've never been really good at them. I'm noticing one thing about a lot of people's picks, a lot of Sega Saturn games. Man, amazing that, man, Sega really, you said it before, but Sega should maybe get on that because I'm noticing a pattern here. There's a lot of Sega Saturn games.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing is that I do know that like the Saturn is notoriously very hard difficult to emulate. So I understand that, but it's like, these are also games that should probably just be remade anyway because they're they're that era. So, well, and then there's some like, you know, I think that you could port Magical Knight Rayearth because that was actually like a 2D sprite game. There's a lot of fantastic 2D games on the Saturn that it's like, just bring those back out.
For sure.
Dude, I would love them to translate Princess Crown, which was the first game from the people who they would go on to do Odin Sphere and
what's her name?
Vanillaware?
Jesus. Vanillaware, that's it. Yep.
Yeah, that was their first game, and it's great. You know, it's one of those games, but it's on the Saturn and it looks amazing.
Oh man, I love their art style so much. It's so good.
Yeah.
Yep, I agree.
Lastly, Jamie says Shadow of the Colossus. This is another one that I have in my collection but never got around to playing. I have the PS3 version that came with Eco, and I just downloaded the PlayStation 4 version a few weeks ago when it was made available for free for PlayStation Plus. I think it was on this podcast I heard Angelo or Julian talk about how great it was to scale these giant monstrosities and bring them down once you figured out what to do. I'm also a big fan of atmospheric music, and I've heard the soundtrack is quite good, especially when you approach each new creature. I just have yet to make time to get into it, which I need to do so I can move on to playing The Last Guardian. Dude, I got Last Guardian as a present a few years ago, and I haven't touched it. And then I'd also downloaded the PS4 remake of Shadow of the Colossus, and I really want to jump into it because, because we had talked about it just recently, and I was like, oh man, that game was so cool, and I kind of want to buy that remake.
Yeah, I was going to suggest that he try out take a look at the remake, because the remake it looks immaculate in my opinion. I think they made a few little control changes to kind of update it too, because the controls in the original were a little awkward, which it kind of fits the game a little bit because your character is a little awkward, and it's supposed to be that way. But still, I don't know. It just looks great. The new one just looks great. So yeah, definitely check it out. I love that game. That's one of my top favorites of all time, probably.
Yeah. And Kane and Rince just did a podcast on the remake, and I listened to that, and I was like, oh man, yeah, I really need to give that a go if I ever stop playing Diablo 3.
I know the feeling.
Yeah.
All right. Now we're on Twitter. Oh nope, we're not on Twitter. We still got a couple. We got a couple on here? Yeah. Oh, yes, we do. You're right. I'm dumb. Sorry, everyone. Sorry. Up next, we have Superstep. He says words about video games as well. And he says, Stage Select, what are 3 games you love but have never played? That's the name of the Stage Select. Thanks for pointing that out. He says Punch-Out NES. Definitely a fan of the music and what the gameplay looks like. But the only thing I grew up with related to it were the NES itself, on which I do not remember playing Punch-Out. And the Simpsons episode where Homer steals cable to watch the fight. But I dig watching playthroughs on YouTube, as it looks like a fun challenge. It helps that one of the only gaming YouTubers I can tolerate / like is Dan Avidan.
Yeah,
Dan Avidan.
He's from Game Grumps and Ninja Sex Party.
Oh, okay. All right. Is a big fan. And yeah, the original Punch-Out is a pretty good game. Hard as shit. I'm terrible at it.
It's one of my, if people remember the first Stage Select, that's one of my top 5 games of all time.
Yeah.
I cannot fire up a Nintendo without playing Punch-Out for at least a little bit. I love it. I've never beat it. I can't beat Mike Tyson. I own both versions, but I can't do it. I can get to him easy.
I think watching my cousin beat that game in a sitting and just immaculately beating every single person, going through the game, just ripping through it. I was like, I will never be this good at video games no matter what I do. And that was amazing. And then I remember trying Punch-Out for myself. I was like, how did he do that? That was crazy. That was one of the most insane things I've ever seen. And he didn't play Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. He played
just Punch-Out.
Yeah, just where Mr. Wonderful was taken over for Mike Tyson Dream, because he or Mr. Dream, yeah, that's it. Because Mike Tyson did some very bad things. He was not the greatest person at that time. Still really, or since maybe, yeah, still really isn't. I mean, he has a TV show now. It's funny sometimes. Norm Macdonald's funny.
That makes it okay.
Yeah, I get no, it really doesn't. It really doesn't. After that, he has Yakuza for the PlayStation 2. Interesting. He says, I feel zero need to play it at this point. Now that makes sense. Other than maybe to hear the English dub with Mark Hamill as Majima and Eliza Dushku as Yumi. But you know exactly why I put this here. I'm a bit tired of being the Yakuza guy.
No, you're not.
I do like. No, you're not. Don't lie to us. As I too like and play lots of other games, Death Stranding and Sega Genesis Mini currently, in addition to Yakuza 5. Still playing. Yeah, I like how you can't. Okay, listen, you can't say you're not the Yakuza guy. See, I'm playing other games and then throw in the Yakuza. If you would have left that out, I would have been like, oh, well, good for you. Great. You're making huge strides here. No, I'm kidding. I love you. But anyway, then he goes on to say, but there's a reason I'm such an evangelist for this series, and it all started with this supposedly jank-ass game. Julian should have known I meant Kiwami in that one cage match fiasco. He's not going to let that go. I'm sorry. No. I played the original Yakuza, and I didn't think it was that bad. I actually had a pretty good time when I played that game. Never finished it. I mean, it's not spectacular or anything, but by leaps and bounds.
It's still Yakuza. It's just, Kiwami just is such an amazing remake that it kind of just makes the original one pointless, other than, it's kind of crazy to hear a English dub for that game. Although, like we said when we were playing Judgment last year, like, if they ended up doing Yakuza 7 and they dub it, I'm totally playing it dubbed, because they did a fantastic job on Judgment. So and I do find it easier to remember the characters' names when I don't know, there's something about not having to worry about reading them and associating them with the faces that makes it a lot easier to figure out who's who. Yeah. Also, it does. It also helps. There's something about like hearing names, like Japanese names in English, that really helps you associate it with their face or whatever. Mainly, at least for me, like when I hear a name in like Japanese from somebody who's speaking Japanese, their names like kind of flow together with the language, because they speak Japanese, they speak it every day, it just rolls off their tongue. But like in English, it's a little bit more out of place, and names in English tend to be a little bit more out of place, which is, that's just how our language works, I guess. I don't know how language works, I'm not an expert, but there's something about it that like really helps. You're right. It really helps you remember the name of the character. So I dig the translations and the English voice acting, as long as it's good, as long as they keep it, the tier that they've been having it on. I'm into it. So definitely. After that, he has, I think he's just fucking with me now. Sonic 06 for the 360, the PlayStation 3, and Linux. Okay, I guess that's a format you can play video games in. It says, I will never play it, but it is such a source of entertainment. And all right. And at this point, kind of charming in its badness. Sonic Boom just wasn't broken enough to be as hilarious as this horribly rushed game for a major franchise. Okay. As long as you like it, ironically, I get it. Is this Werewolf Sonic, or is this Sonic Smooches a Human Girl Sonic? I think this is Sonic Smooches a Human Girl Sonic, or is that Adventure? All those Dreamcast Sonic games kind of blend together to me. Sonic 06. This is 360 though. Yeah, this is so it's not Adventure. Jesus. Yeah. This was a really bad one then. Oh, yeah, okay. No, this is Sonic Smooches a Human Girl, because it was Sonic Unleashed where he's werewolf Sonic. Yeah. So okay. Yep. Yeah. You're right. I shouldn't know that, but I do. I'm sorry, Mike Fallick. Since the Dreamcast ones, those have all just blended together because they've put out so many of them. They all just kind of look the same. Apparently, 06 as like widely touted as a disaster for that company. They really fucked up in like the making of it. A lot of it. It had a really good demo. Apparently, I can't remember where they showed it off, but apparently they put it on the 360 store as like a demo, because you used to have to do that back in the day. Mm-hmm. And when people played it, they're like, oh, this is actually pretty good. And that's because before they put the demo out, Sega had an American company go into the game and actually fix a lot of the stuff that was broken in it. Oh. And then when the game actually came out, they didn't use any of their fixes. They just left it as is, or something like to that degree. There's a really good video all about Sonic 06 from the What Happened videos series by one Matt McMuscles that is pretty interesting on that game. Nice. And a lot of other games. But that's it for our friend Superstep. Those are all interesting picks. I like them. Next up is Bookie, who hasn't commented in a while, who says, I was planning on finishing the podcast tonight and making a real post, but between not being able to make the time and internet trouble, I just couldn't do it, though I only have about 20 minutes left. That said, just in case I can make it under the wire, although this says you posted this at like 9:30 in the morning, so you had plenty of time. My man was way ahead of the game. He's killing it. He's fine. Yeah. He says, I can't drink coffee anymore without saying, clear as a crisp spring morning. My favorite game I've never played is Deadly Premonition, a weird Twin Peaks pseudo-free roaming shooter mess that is one of the most bizarre games to get any sort of popularity, in my opinion. I've seen playthroughs of Deadly Premonition multiple times, including both Giant Bomb versions, one after the other, and follow not one but two Twitter accounts that are beyond obsessed with the thing and constantly post in-depth content. Welcome to Greenvale and Whitney. I think Swery is a real auteur. I look forward to everything that guy releases. They're just flawed masterpieces. So says Mr. Bookie. That's a good one. That's a game that I actually did touch for a little bit. And I don't know if it's for me, but also it was one of those things where I literally just played it for like 20 minutes. And I don't know. It's really interesting. It kind of. No, I'm not going to say that. I was going to say kind of in a Yakuza vein, but that's way off.
Yeah. No. I actually had this on my list, my actual list, until I seen his, and then I was like, okay, I get to talk about this game anyway. Great. I love Deadly Premonition. I've never played it either. I'm the same as Bookie. I've watched a lot of playthroughs. I don't think I've ever finished one. That game is hysterical. It's so beyond jank. Like, it's amazing. Like, the voice acting is so not good in so many ways. It's amazing that he claims that Swery, the maker of the game, claims that he has never seen Twin Peaks ever. I think he just has to do that so they don't sue him, because the game is basically Twin Peaks. It definitely feels like a game, and this has been said by many people, not just me, that they didn't want to put a combat system in there. I don't think Swery wanted this to be like a combat game that they made him do. Right. They were just like, no, you need to have combat in this. What are you doing? You can't make a weird life detective simulator. This isn't a game. You have to do something. And he's like, no, but it's fine. And it would have been better had it not had combat, because combat was terrible. And that game is notoriously bad for if you're in the red room, it just drops frames horribly. You just teleport places sometimes. There's driving mechanics. It's a game that scope is so far over what it should have been that it's kind of amazing that it did what it did. And it's one of those really bad games that I just have a fondness for. And one of the songs on it, I think there was maybe 7 songs in the entire game for as big of a game as it was, as big a scope as they had. There's one song that doesn't fit the game at all, but it's there and it's hilarious because you'll talk to somebody and it's this happy whistling song.
I know that one.
Yeah. Oh my God, I love that song. It's so great. You can't listen to that song and not feel good. It's amazing. Oh, man. Yeah, no, I'm with him. Deadly Premonition is awesome. I'm glad he put it so I could get to talk about it. Thank you, Bookie. You are the man.
It's kind of interesting because Alan Wake was also going for a Twin Peaks thing, and originally Alan Wake was going to be this big open world game where you could get into any car and drive around and stuff like that, and then they had to scale it way back. But when you think about it, Deadly Premonition kind of ended up doing that, but they did it poorly, and it's this is why Remedy didn't do it because it was too much.
I think Jim Sterling has famously gave that game a 10 out of 10.
Oh, I remember.
He has famously said this game is either a 1 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10. And then he did something in the game that was completely hilarious to him. He's like, this is a 10 out of 10. I can't go back. Stupid as hell. I have a fondness for that. Anyway, over on Twitter, we have a man. His name is Xavier Krieger, and he is at Cadus Bane over on Twitter if you would like to follow him. And he says words about video games, and they sound like this. That's a cool intro. I'm going to start doing that. It's very ASMR sign of he says words about video games, and they sound like this. Anyway,
but you gotta get up on the microphone like this, Justin. When you do that, when you really gotta use the space. You gotta and then you start crinkling some paper. You gotta
you're right.
It's really relaxing and also for some people kind of erotic.
You're way too good at that. It's kind of freaky. My ASMR voice is basically stolen from some late night radio DJ I heard one time that introduced a band, and it was a song called "A Muzzle of Bees," and I will never forget it because it was a lady, and she was just like, "Hi, I'm here to introduce this song," and she was just like telling how life changing the song was to her. This
Ricky
next
Winterfish?
band. No, it's close. It's close. It sounds a lot like him. It's weird.
Yeah.
Anyways. Xavier Krieger says words about video games, and he says his number 3 is Catherine. I love the way this game looks and watching people plays, but I've never played it, even though I own it on 360 and I plan on getting it for Switch. That is one I've never played either, and it seems really interesting. I would probably get into it too. I really kind of dig the concept. I know it has like some problematic elements in it, but I don't know. That's Japan, I guess. A lot of the Persona games, man, the Atlas games have a lot of that stuff.
I'm problematic how?
There is like a trans character
or
a little bit transphobic.
I don't remember a trans character in that game.
I think it got added later. I can't. There's either that or it's a subtle dig at a trans character. I don't remember the exact details. That's something we'd have to look up. Listeners, if you're out there, please correct us on what it is I'm thinking of when it comes to Catherine, because I know there's something weird. I know there's a lot of homophobia in Persona. Like, that's a big thing in that game. Like, they changed, like, recently in Persona 5 for the remake, they changed a scene that they were like, okay, yeah, we know this is problematic, and they didn't really fix it that much. It's still a little weird and creepy. So yeah, I don't know. Japan doesn't know what they're doing there.
Yeah, I will say that my review of Catherine was one of the first things that was published on like an actual website, not just a blog. And it's still a review that I really stand by, because it was basically talking about how, because I was still a virgin. Wait, no, that's not true. I just lost my virginity. But anyway, but the thing is that like I really was talking about how like I had this very weird relationship with like women and stuff like that, and how I could really relate to Vincent as a character, because he was just this like poor schlub that kind of was kind of drifting through life and didn't really have a plan or anything going on. And I was like, dude, this is like hitting like my thing was like for gamers of a certain age, like Catherine hits in a really like deep way, where if you're a lot younger or a lot older, it probably won't be. Like, if I play Catherine now, I'm probably not going to get as much out of it as I did like 8 years ago. Yeah. But yeah, like it's very much like a moment in time for me, and you also I just love the way that like the decisions you make, you can see how they stack up against other people in the world, because they'll ask you like a survey question about relationships, and that stuff is really neat.
Yeah, that I should give that a try. I know the remake version or whatever is out. I should definitely give that a try one of these days. Maybe when I get done doing dumb things that I'm doing right now. Anyway, it's number 2. He says, I had my time in MMOs, so I don't think I will ever get heavy into one again, but I love everything about Final Fantasy XIV. Just the art and combat and music and gorgeous areas are all things I'm in love with, but I can't play another MMO for 1,000,000 hours. I understand that.
I do as well.
Yeah. Music in Final Fantasy XIV, pretty good.
Although I will say that you can get a lot done in Final Fantasy XIV without having to put in 1,000,000 hours.
Okay.
The game is really good about that. So
depends on like how like addictive your personality is. Some people get really addicted to stuff like that and don't mean to. So if you have that kind of personality, maybe shy away from MMOs. I don't blame you. Anyway, he says his number 1 is Eternal Darkness, which is a very good pick. I love everything about this game, but by the time I decided I wanted to play it, it was so damn expensive.
It is?
I apparently.
Oh, I got to look at this now because I've got a sealed copy.
Oh, nice. Live on the air, Julian Titus Googling how much money he's just made off of Deadly Premonition. But anyway, or not Deadly Premonition. Fucking Eternal Darkness.
It's going for like $15 used. Oh wait,
really?
That's Japanese. That's an import.
Oh, okay.
Hold on.
Okay, stand by. But anyway, Eternal Darkness is an awesome game. I almost put it on my list actually, but and I think it's really cool. I don't know if like a lot of like the certain parts of it hold up as they would have back in the day, because like the sanity effects really relied on the technology at the time. But I still think the things that it was doing were really cool. So
okay, so yeah, it went up a little bit. Like for a used copy, you're gonna shell out about $60 for it. New copy's going for about $250, and that makes me very happy.
There you go. Julian made some money off of this, so that's a good investment. Yeah.
But I do love that game very much.
It's a great game.
That is a game that I would really love a remake of.
I don't think that's ever going to happen.
It's not. But...
Yeah, we can dream.
Yeah,
we can dream.
Let's see. All right, I believe next up is JD.
Yes, that's who I have. Yes.
He is on Twitter at a myth known as JD. Listeners, when you hear us asking who's next, it's just because like the way that the DMs work on our Twitter account,
yeah.
Sometimes it's kind of hard to tell because things move around as we reply to stuff. So
yep.
Yeah. Anyway, JD says, favorite games I've never played, Resident Evil 2. I played the remake and watched playthroughs, but I've never actually played it myself. I'm assuming I would like it though. Well, he missed the word, but I think that's what he said. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. I'm assuming I would though.
Yeah.
I can say the same about Final Fantasy X and Final Fantasy VII, but I own it now on Switch, so I'll be getting to those as well. Yeah, those are all really good ones to play. I would be curious if people would be able to get anything out of like OG Resident Evil 2.
Yeah, it depends. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I think that now, like, the graphics are almost a novelty. So maybe, like, because there was a time period there for, like, up until I think maybe just the last, like, 6 or 7 years where, yeah, you would look at that and be like, oh, this is dog shit. But I want to say that now it's like, okay, we understand that this was, like, from a certain time, but there's still a certain charm to it. Yeah. And there's even, like, certain games that try to emulate that style of graphics for, you know.
Right.
On Steam and stuff like that. So I wonder.
Yeah, for sure. Also, on PC, like you can mod it and use machine learning. That's been a big cool mod thing. They use machine learning to clean up all the backgrounds and stuff, so it looks really nice. Like Resident Evil 3, for example, you can actually read the signs in the background. There's like nice. Japanese restaurant that they misspelled the word Japanese.
Oh yeah,
I shit you not.
No,
it's hilarious.
Yeah, that stuff happens all the time.
Oh yeah, it's pretty great though. I appreciate it. But yeah, I think that's one of those games. I have like a certain nostalgia for watching it because it takes me back to that time and watching my friend play through it. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. It's just like you said. It's tough to tell. Like some people can probably get that, oh yeah, this is from this time, and I appreciate it for what it is, but like I could also see people being like, what are these fucking controls, this is weird and I don't get it. Yeah,
but especially because it's an experience that you can't get with the remake because the remake doesn't have the 4 different playthroughs in it, so to me that might be a reason to still go back to the original.
I think the remake has the hunk and tofu stuff. I think it's DLC though.
Well, no, but I'm talking about specifically like the Leon A, Claire B, Claire A, Leon B thing, the whole zapping thing.
You're right. Yeah, you're right. Absolutely right.
Yeah.
After that, we have a man. His name is Red Venom, and he is at Zakeli7.
Oh,
did I skip on somebody? I'm sorry.
I've got Blaine Fay and Matt Jorgensen before him. Do you see those?
Oh shit, you're absolutely right. I am so sorry. My sincerest apologies to everyone involved. Let's just cut this out or don't. It's fine. Anyways, we have Blaine Faya, and he is at Blaine Faya. I love saying that. I don't know why. That's his intro now. He has a full blown intro on the show. Way to go, you. He says, State Select, Persona. I've never played one, but have heard and read quite a bit about it. It sure seems like an anime game, and I am all about that. Maybe one of these days I will finish my backlog and have time to dive into one of these bad mamma jammas. But for now, I'll just love them without ever having played a minute of them. And yeah, I've touched.
You will never finish your backlog. I will never finish my backlog.
Yeah.
Justin will never finish his backlog, especially because he's just on either Skyrim or The Sims 4 like all night and all day.
Those are kind of like my forever games. Yeah, it's weird. I'll get into some of that later. Yeah, Persona. I really, now that Royale is out, Persona 5, and people know things about it, and I can probably look up a guide, so I won't feel like I'm missing out on things. I really want to play 5. I've touched almost every single one of those except for the original 2. I haven't played Persona 1 or 2. I don't think a whole lot of people actually have. Those are a little obscure.
They don't hold up very well. Like, yeah, I actually played them a little bit back in the day, and they're very archaic.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, 3. I remember when it came out, being like having my I was just like, this game is really cool. It's the most emo thing I've ever seen in my life, but I'm super into it. It's like My Chemical Romance, the game. Like, you just look at the main character and he looks like Gerard Way from My Chemical Romance. I can't help it. Like, he even had, I think I've shown my sister this. My sister's a big My Chemical Romance fan. She's like, yeah, no, I get it. He has the armband and everything. Like, it's totally that. But yeah, I really like those games. They're really cool. But I've never beaten one. I've touched all the main 3 that most people played, never beaten. Yeah.
Which is funny because they're only 120-hour games, so you should knock that out in a week.
Yeah, I probably would. I'm not even joking. I probably would knock them out in a week.
All right. Next up on Twitter, we have Matt Jorgensen, who is at Metal Matt Returns. He says, all right. This stage select is difficult because if a game looks good to me, I'm just going to play it myself and be done with it so long as I can actually play it. I had to dig fairly deep. Number 3, Before Crisis, Final Fantasy VII. This game was released in Japan on a specific mobile phone. I don't think it was even on smartphones. It was not. And it's the only game under the Final Fantasy VII title I haven't finished multiple times. But a boy can dream it'll turn up again someday.
I'm impressed I'm more impressed that he's finished Dirge of Cerberus multiple times, because I don't think I couldn't sit through that game one time. So
right.
That's very impressive to me. You have impressed me in this moment. Man, yeah, I've heard of this game, and they were talking about it on another podcast, the Axe of the Blood God, pretty recently. And I was like, wow, I never even heard of that. That sounds really awesome. I would love to play that, and I don't think I ever will get to.
That's the one where it's all about the Turks, right? Like, you play the Turks.
I think you're right. I think you're right about that. And I love Final Fantasy VII. I'll play any of them. I never got all the way through Crisis Core either.
I want to play that one. I've never touched it, but I own it.
I think I liked Crisis Core. Of what I played, it definitely has kind of a Kingdom Hearts feel in the combat. It actually kind of reminds me of what Remake is. Maybe a little bit more hack and slash and easy though. Like it didn't feel like the Remake kind of feels like a little bit more slowed down version of the Crisis Core combat to me. But the thing that I liked about it was the levels were really straightforward. You were just kind of going through a hallway, which was nice for a mobile or, for a portable game, because you're just like, you go into a level, you finish it off pretty quick and you were done. And it was all classic Final Fantasy enemies. I remember fighting bombs and stuff like that. So I enjoyed it. I know the story kind of goes off the rails in some fucking weird ways, and I don't know what the fuck I know about Final Fantasy VII anymore after what I've seen of it. So, but I still appreciate it. But yeah, I'm with him. This would be interesting just to kind of take a look at,
Yeah. All right. Well, Matt's next one is Undertale. He says, this one is simple as I can't play it. There's a long explanation, but the short version is that I'm colorblind. And in a few particular places in the game, I can't see the heart because of the combat and just die because I'm guessing. Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, that really sucks.
But Undertale kind of sucks too, so sorry.
I know you love the Undertale jabs. I get it. You gotta take your jabs. You gotta take your jabs sometimes. I get it. I totally get it.
So of these games, like that's one that I think you're perfectly fine just watching it, and you'll have a much better experience anyway. Right. Just watching a playthrough of it. I don't think the gameplay in that game is worth a damn, and especially towards the end is just needlessly annoying.
Yeah, I've never. That's one I've never finished. I have owned it. I've touched it a little bit. Never got all the way through it. Yeah, I could see the pink. I know I could be wrong. There's a lot of people have trouble seeing. Depends on what kind of color blindness you have. Mm-hmm. Especially that game. There's like 3 fucking colors in it or something like that. I mean,
yeah, but there's parts where it goes pretty like screwy with the colors. If I remember correctly.
Even worse.
So, yeah,
that it's definitely not colorblind friendly, and that's something games moving forward need to kind of like. I'm hoping, because I always hear about like Giant Bomb. I always feel bad for Vinny and Jeff when they talk about stuff like that, because I'm like, man, that's tough. That's really tough, but. Yeah. I can only imagine. I'm sorry to hear that, Matt, but you're a great guy, and I love you very much with all my hearts.
Yes. And Matt brings up his number one is one that I almost brought up when we talked about Sakura Wars. He says Thousand Arms. He says, I'm stretching on this one because it's a low on my priority list, but it's a game I can actually obtain. It just happens to be expensive, and I want a nice copy for my collection. Dang it, I hate that because I've been wanting to re-buy that game, and I was worried that it was going to be one of the pricier ones. I used to own it back in the day. Thousand Arms is a turn-based RPG where you play a character who is a blacksmith, and he makes weapons, and the way that he is able to make powerful weapons is by infusing them with the love that he gets from the women that he meets. And there's this like dating sim part to the game, but he's a terrible person, so like all of the like chat options are just the worst things that you can say to a woman.
Oh, kind of great. Oh man, yeah. That sounds like it holds up so badly that it's amazing. Does that make sense?
Even back then, it was like, oh man, this guy's a dick.
That sounds great. I've heard of that game. Or as soon as you mentioned the last part, I was like, I've heard of this. I don't remember where. It might have been from you actually, but yeah, that sounds fucking weird.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Good voice acting for the time too. It was very anime, like really good anime dub type voice acting.
Interesting.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah,
I like that game.
Awesome. All right, now we're at Red Venom. I don't know if that part got cut out where I accidentally skipped him, but if it didn't, now we're at Red Venom. He's a person, he has things to say about video games, and he is at Zakelli7. There, we nailed it. Totally fucking nailed it. Nobody ever knows. He says, I'm here to confess my gaming sins. I never played a Zelda game before Breath of the Wild. Maybe because I was more of a PlayStation man myself. But even when I got the Wii, never bought any Zelda title. And the game seemed like fun.
Depending on the ones you play, like, some of them are like fantastic and some of them are so-so, but yeah. I think obviously like Link to the Past is one of the best ones, and I'm a big fan of Wind Waker. I like Skyward Sword. I like the way it plays. I just don't like it. That was one of the most egregious examples of we're going to teach you how to play a game as if you were a child who has never played a video game before for 20 hours.
That sounds like not great. Yeah. I'm not admittedly not the biggest Zelda guy, so I'm not really. But yeah, I do like the top down ones. I have a reverence for those, but like I'm not like over the moon about them all. Like I don't. Yeah, but they're good games. They're good games. So you're fine. Your sins are okay. Don't worry about it. Let's move on to the next thing. And you say you have never played Doom.
What?
Never played the original games. Tried the demo for 3 and wasn't to my liking. Well, that was 3. 3 was a little bit weird. Quake 2, 3, Duke Nukem, and a bunch of Doom clones. Now those I played a lot. Okay. So 3 was weird. I remember being really impressed by 3 when it came out, because that was that late Xbox original Xbox. Am I wrong?
Mid that because I played it at E3 2003.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I was like in high school or getting out of high school right around that time. I remember owning an Xbox, and I remember being like blown away by it, like how it looked, but it definitely doesn't play like a normal Doom game like that. And that's what people, didn't like about it. They were going for almost like a survival horror Doom. At least the opening was really like survival horror, scare the shit out of you. Things jump. It wasn't a game for Justin. I didn't like it either.
But original Doom, like I will say, as someone who played it like just a couple of years ago, that game is still really good. Yeah. It holds up surprisingly well. So I definitely recommend checking it out.
Oh yeah, for sure. I played it a long time ago. I don't remember much about it, but like I remember, and that was another one I watched. I think in the same sitting where I watched my cousin beat Punch-Out, I watched him play Doom, and that was a mind-blowing evening, let me tell you. Anyway, his last entry here. Okay, all right, here we go. He says Metal Gear ?
Oh no, you fucked that up, Justin.
Okay, go ahead.
That should read Metal Gear.
Okay, you do a better Solid Snake impression than I do. I don't have a good gritty voice, Julian. It just doesn't happen. He says, never played a Metal Gear Solid title, even though had both PlayStation and the PlayStation 2. Never got the games. Liked the overall story and atmosphere, but the gameplay was not for me. Didn't quite get it. 5 looked like it had some real nice stealth gameplay and nice combat, but alas, never bothered going in. I don't know that. I was just gonna say, there was a Metal Gear Solid 5, Julian?
No,
was there?
There are 4 Metal Gear Solids.
That's how I remember it too. But
no, but I totally get that. Those games are an acquired taste for sure. I think of the 4 that exist, because there's only 4. The 4th one probably is the most accessible gameplay wise. Yeah, because even now, I mean, the first game is kind of especially because the first game was so trying to emulate like the original Nintendo game, but in 3D, but still like the same perspective. Yeah. So I can see that being a difficult ask for people. It's almost like Resident Evil 2, like we were talking about before. Like if you have the nostalgia for it, like you probably will dig it, but if you don't, it might not be a thing that you get into. I've been dying to play the original Metal Gear again. I haven't played it in so long. Been trying up and down to find like just a way to play the game. I think I own a copy. I might just like find that and try to do something with it. I think I even went so far. I was trying to play it on my Vita, and sometimes if you buy things on the PlayStation Store off their website, like Final Fantasy VIII was like this. You could buy Final Fantasy VIII on the PlayStation Store on their website and play it on your Vita. So I tried to do that with PlayStation 3 one, bought it. So I own a copy of the original Metal Gear Solid, but it doesn't work on anything I own because I don't own a PlayStation 3. So maybe I'll just emulate it sometime because I own it. I bought it. I did buy it. Paid money. All right. Next up, we have Esteban Islas, who's on Twitter @expired. Good to hear from you again. He's a regular listener, but doesn't contribute all that often. He says, I do have a couple choices that I'd like to share. I'm sure if you compiled a list of top 10 games you should play in your life, I'm sure I missed more than half. One that I hear about all the time, and I think I would really enjoy the world and sounds like such a good game, Mass Effect. I don't know where I missed this game, and it's sitting in my backlog of Steam games just waiting. Alas, I'm always scared to pull the trigger on it. The other games that I have heard from friends and watched them played a little bit over time is Okami. Again, something that I know I would enjoy, but I keep building my backlog. I don't do anything with YouTube, but one thing that I would love to do is a how to play Mass Effect 1 tutorial video. Because I think Mass Effect has the best gameplay in the entire series, but the problem is that it does a terrible job of teaching you how to play it. And it's actually a game where you have to read the instruction manual to know what to do, and people don't do that. And I like everybody that I've introduced to Mass Effect, I've been like, hey, let me take the controller really quick. I'm going to show you how you should actually play this. And then once I show them that, they're like, oh, that makes it much better.
I didn't figure it out until my second playthrough of it. And I don't know if I finished the first playthrough. I may have something might have happened in the game and I just stopped playing it. I don't remember exactly how that went down. Like I might have been mad at myself for making a decision. These are the things that happen to me midway through playing games. Maybe I didn't like the look of my character. There was some reason that I did a second, or I think I did 3 playthroughs of Mass Effect when it came out a little bit after, because I remember falling off of it the first time I played it. But yeah, no, I'm with you, because I definitely didn't realize what I was doing until the second playthrough, and then it all clicked. And once it clicked, I loved it. So that was when I was like, oh, I want to do this type of build where with magic and stuff. This would be really cool, and lifting people up and doing all that stuff. It's really neat. Yeah.
Also, it has the best biotic moves in the entire series, because when you throw a fully powered singularity into a room, it's awesome.
Yeah. It is. The other one he mentions, Okami, is another game. Man, there's so many games I played and never finished. Okami's definitely one of them. I played the first couple hours of that game, and then I was like, okay, I'll get back to this. And then that was when I was really high into game collecting, and I was just picking up tons of stuff at a time, and Okami was one of them. And I remember playing through the first couple hours, I was like, man, this is really neat. I love what it's doing, and never got around to finishing it. It comes out for everything, so yeah, I don't know what my excuse is, but yeah, see, it's an awesome game. I love the art style of it.
That's one that's in my if we have a pile of shame, that one is on mine, because I own it and I've heard it's fantastic, but I have literally never touched it at all. I've never even booted it up.
Yeah, it's really cool, good looking. It's really cool, but yeah, I've only played the opening couple hours and then just kind of never went back for one reason or another. Who knows? Yeah. But at the end here, are we at the end? We're at the end.
Yes, we are. Yes.
We have one more man, and he goes by the name of Lobo. That's a cool name. I'm into it. It's very edgy. And he's at anyone2643, and he has some things to say about video games, and they are this. He says, there are many games I love, but have failed to play. Let me just start out with one. That was a cool intro. I liked it. He went right into it. That's very cool. Very cool. The Portal franchise, it's not that I haven't wanted to play them, but more about finding where to play them. I don't have a good gaming PC to pick them up on Steam, and I don't believe they are on the PlayStation Store. When I read this, I went, what is Portal out on?
Well, okay, so... It should be. Wait, no.
PlayStation.
Store. No, you're right.
Probably
because
not.
they don't have backwards compatibility stuff.
Yeah.
Because you can't actually buy Portal 1 on the Xbox One either, although it is backwards compatible. If you have the orange box, you can load the disc and it'll play, but you can't actually buy it from the store, which is weird.
That is weird.
Yeah, and then because I don't know if you remember, but they also released Portal 1 as a standalone game, and that is not backwards compatible. So yeah, I think he's right. Portal 2, you should be able to. Well, wait, PlayStation. Never mind.
Yeah,
because you can get Portal 2 on the Xbox One because they're cool like that. Yeah, that sucks though.
Yeah, hopefully if you go into the next gen and you do end up going PlayStation 5, they do the whole backwards compatibility. There's a lot of good PlayStation 3 games that people want to play still, myself included. Yeah. After that, he says, number 2, Uncharted, the entire franchise.
Same.
Just never got around to playing it.
Yeah, so I really want to play those. I think I'd mentioned earlier that I was thinking about this year, picking the first game, throwing it on easy and just blowing through it, and then later on pick up the second one and do the same thing just to play them all, because I know that they're really cool and they have great stories, but I know that the actual shooting isn't all the best, and I'm not a fan, because I am on record as saying that I don't think Last of Us plays well at all. And so I'm totally fine just throwing those on easy and just not engaging with the actual deeper mechanics of them.
Right. Yeah, that sounds right. I'd never played any of them either. They were I don't know why there was something about them that I know I've even tried to watch playthroughs of them. That's the thing I love doing is watching playthroughs of them. For whatever reason, I think it was just because I was like, well, I got to start at the first one, and most people say the first one is the worst one.
Yeah,
I didn't mean to rhyme there, but it did. And yeah, like I was like, yeah, I'm not really getting into this, but I didn't know that was the worst one when I tried to watch it. So maybe I'll go back and just say fuck the first one and just watch the second one. Just skip to the good part or whatever. After that, though, he has number 3, the BioShock franchise. Yet another group of games that I have not played. Working on fixing that, though. And you should. Maybe not
BioShock
all of them. Maybe
1 holds up really well.
Yeah.
I at the time, I thought that BioShock Infinite was fantastic.
Yeah.
I know that it gets a lot of flack after the fact, but I really liked it. And I didn't finish
cool.
2.
BioShock 2, I didn't like. Well, okay, that's not true. I thought it was fine, but I definitely don't think it holds up to the first one. Like, I don't think it's really close. I know they tried to do like some kind of cool stuff, but it's fine. It's a fine like first person shooting game, but like the first one's like mind blowing, and I really dig the world and atmosphere of Infinite. I think it's really cool. I like the storyline and stuff. I don't know why I get so much flack. That's one that was during a time when I was like heavy into Magic the Gathering and I was spending most of my money on Magic the Gathering cards. So I know that was one I watched a playthrough of, but and I really dug the story, so it might be worth playing again. It gets a lot of probably unnecessary flack. But yeah, that's it, I think.
Yes. Thank you, Lobo, for your first ever comment.
Thank you.
He's actually supported the show in the past and stuff with retweets and entering contests and stuff. I don't think he's retweeting stuff for the contest, but I don't think he's ever actually like sent in a secret code phrase or anything. So thanks.
Right.
Hopefully we'll hear from you again.
Indeed. Anytime. We love to hear from anybody who's listening to this and has never commented. You should comment because we will let you say things about video games and we will read them.
Yes. Maybe next time we will hear from him because it's my turn for stage select. And for this next stage select, I'm actually preempting what I originally had because friend of the show, John Golson, came up with one just kind of in idle conversation that I thought was fantastic. And I want to do it before I forget because I have a Swiss cheese brain.
Me too.
So next episode on Nerds Without Pants, I want to know some of your greatest gaming regrets. That can be however you want to define that. Is it like, a game that you could have bought but never did, game that you got rid of that you wish you hadn't, tournament that you wish that you had entered and didn't, or, whatever, anything like that.
Oh man, I got a good story. Yeah. All right, great. I like this. This is a good one. I like it.
Awesome. So, we will want those by 8:30 Central Time on April 17th. You can go to pixelbit.com and comment in the show thread for episode 173. You can DM us on Twitter at NWPcast. You can also message us on Facebook if you go to facebook.com/nerdswithoutpants podcast. We have an email address too, which I had set up when I thought we were going to do some YouTube stuff. I need to find out how to get into it. And that might be an option as well. Because I also wanted to maybe do like a mailbag episode. We never do emails because 1, we don't have an email, and 2, like the show is so long that there's no way to do an actual email segment of the regular episode. But
right.
We are trying to throw out some extra stuff in this time of COVID-19. So
indeed,
that's definitely a thought that I've had rattling around. If people are interested, definitely let us know. If that's something that you would be into. And I think maybe, some people just, they don't have Twitter, they hate Facebook, and they don't want to join Pixelbit, but they want to actually engage. So everybody can email, right? Like,
hopefully. Yeah, I hope. Yeah. You hope. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, a lot of funeral directors apparently cannot because that's the industry that I work in, and they are very tech averse. But anyway.
That sounds right.
We're going to go ahead and wrap up this stage select and hop on into Consumption Junction. Justin, I think this is where we sound the fail horn from Price is Right, because we ain't got shit.
We really don't, man. Like, man, nothing's come out that I've wanted to play. Like, I swear I go on like Steam and Xbox Store and all that stuff. I'm like, oh man, what do I want to play? And nothing hits my heart that I want to play. I don't know if it's like, recent events that have caused it or what, but I get, you want me to just start with the things that I have done? I guess I could do that.
Well, actually, what you said kind of, I can springboard into the one new thing that I did do.
Okay, go ahead.
Because I happened to be going through the Xbox store just to see what was coming out. And there was this game that I had never heard of that stood out to me. Simply because it's an FMV game, and so the image was of the main character, and I recognized the actress.
Okay.
It's called The Complex, and it was cheap. It was like, I think the regular price is like $15, but the pre-order like Xbox Live Gold price was like $11. Mm-hmm. And I went ahead and pre-ordered it. Now, it was weird because like the trailer makes you think that it's actually about like a massive contagion, and I was like, okay, this probably isn't the best thing to play right now.
Right.
But it was starring the actress who plays Katie from Letterkenny, and I think she's a great actress, and that's one of the things that I appreciate about her.
Is that what you appreciate about me?
Go easy, Squirrely Dan.
And really, I bought this game just so I could make that really bad joke. Some people in the audience will get it. But
I'm sorry, I don't. Yeah,
it's fine. There's some people who will be like, that's funny. But no, yeah. So I was like, okay, I can make the dumb Letterkenny joke, and then also like maybe it's it's a good game to play in this bizarre time period. Turns out that's not what the game is about. But what it is it's literally an interactive movie. It's full FMV. Where you make decisions, and it has a branching storyline. So I played it all in one sitting. I want to say it's maybe like an hour and a half.
Right. Okay.
And basically, like, the main character is this doctor who created this like nanotech for medical applications. But it's not complete. And somehow one of their like interns has it injected into her, and it's basically without it being complete, it's just like mass replication inside of her, and it's like killing her over time. And so it's this very tense thing where they're trying to save her, but then also this super like secure lab that they're in is being like. There's like these terrorists that are trying to break in through all their security. So it's a very tense game.
Huh.
And it was pretty interesting.
What kind of game is it again? Is it like yeah, what's the gameplay like? Like, what's the actual like game?
It's literally like you choose decisions like basically like as the game is playing or as the movie is playing. Because literally when you start it says a film by and then the director or whatever like that.
Okay.
And so basically like as certain branching points come up, like you decide, this, it's usually a binary decision, but there are some that are more options than that. And so then based on that, it'll go into a different direction and stuff like that. There's like 9 endings to it. And I was like, get the fuck out. I am not watching a movie 9 times. Like, it's like it's a so sci-fi original caliber, film. It's not going to win any Oscars or anything like that. But it was enjoyable for what it was, and I got to make a dumb Letterkenny joke, and it's the only new thing that I did.
Oh no, I dig stuff like that. I like decision making games, and sometimes I like to just kind of sit back and relax. That's why I got into that Yes Your Grace game, because I was just constantly making decisions and stuff. I love shit like that where it branches off. So I might check that out. I don't know if I'll get into it, but that sounds interesting.
Yeah, like I said, it's cheap. And the only other thing I'm going to say, because I don't know about other listeners, but like me personally, I get tired of when I hear like podcast hosts talk about the same game over and over and over. Like I've had it up to here with Dota 2 and Rainbow Six Siege talk over the years.
Right.
But all I want to say is that on Diablo 3, I finished my season set, which, excuse me. So I've never done this before, and so I've never had a full set of armor, because like there are like these like special themed sets where it's like you get bonuses based on how many pieces of the gear that you're equipped with, And if you equip all 6, then you get like a super duper bonus.
Okay.
So once I got the set like the full set for my season Demon Hunter, it's like the overall equipment taken as a whole, like when you look at the stats, they're not that great. But what it does is that if you do this particular move, which it was already part of my build, immediately after you do that move for I think like 5 seconds or something like that, your damage goes up by 14,000%.
Okay. That's a lot of percent.
Dude. Like, so way back when I was in high school, like one of my friends was playing Diablo 1 and he was like telling me like, oh yeah, I'm just going to go tonight and beat Diablo because like he can't even like do any damage to me anymore. And I was like, that doesn't sound fun at all. Oh no, dude, I was wrong. Like it's so fun to go in and fight Diablo and one-shot him. Like there's just a sick power fantasy about that. Like I'm up to Torment 7 now, and I think the highest is Torment 14. And like if I get hit, I take a bunch of damage, but it usually doesn't matter because I'm just clearing out the screen constantly, and it's so much fun.
That does sound pretty good. Yeah, that does sound pretty good.
The end. That's all I've got.
All right. Well, I don't have much either. Like I said, ain't been much coming out that's really struck my fancy. That's what I'm going with. That and struck my fancy. It's on brand. I like it. But I did go back to Animal Crossing for like a few hours.
Listeners were helpful. They include you in that you are able to sell multiple things at the shop.
Yes. Thank you all. I sincerely appreciate it. That is why I put things out into the void, because I know I am very dumb. And sometimes I know somebody's going to hear it and go, what the fuck is he talking about? All you have to do is do this. And immediately when I seen it and when I went back, I was like, oh, wow, I'm just really fucking stupid, aren't I? And I was like, yeah, I am. So thank you for correcting me on that. I sincerely do appreciate it because it did help me. But I went back. Put another like couple hours into it. I don't think it's for me though. I kind of gave it a good solid try. I kind of see where it's going. I got, Museum Man came. He built his museum tent. I gave him the fish. He was like, thank you for the fish. And that's cool. He's like, you should go find some fossils. Here's a shovel. I was like, all right, I'll go do that. And it was like, hey, now you can pole vault across these rivers. I was like, okay, that's cool. I'll go jump some rivers. That sounds fun. I did that. And then I started doing everything. I was like, but why am I doing this? What am I building towards? I don't know. And
Justin, you can't ask those questions when you're playing a video game, dude, because then it all just comes tumbling in on itself.
Yeah. And that I think it just moves too slow for me. Somebody suggested moving the game clock forward. They were like, hey, you can just like kind of time jump. And I was like, wasn't that like really frowned upon in the first one? Didn't Mr. Rossetti used to come out and know you did some shit when you did that? Because I swear me and my friend did that in the original, and that was an event in that house when we had 4 people on the same game in the original Animal Crossing. We time jumped, and Mr. Rossetti came and bitched us out, and then my friend who owned the game found out about it and was very pissed that we fucked up his village, and it was a not pretty fight between 2 brothers that I will never forget. Anyway, over Animal Crossing of all fucking games. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, it's just moving a little too slow for me. Like I don't see instant progress, and that's what bothers me. Like when I feel like it should be, it's like, hey, come back tomorrow, and I'm like, oh, but I want to do other things tomorrow. Why can't it be today? Like I feel like if it moved a little faster, it'd be okay. And I don't want to time jump. Also, I have to go into my system and change the game clock. It's too much work. I don't want to do it. So I don't know. I think I will go back to it once I buy, because I do plan on buying a copy for my niece for her birthday. Because I know I'm 100% positive she'll love it. One of her favorite things to do, according to my sister, is she plays Zelda, the newest one, the remake of the fuck.
Link's Awakening.
Yeah, Link's Awakening. She plays that and just runs around the village doing nothing. That's her favorite thing to do. So I'm like, she'll love Animal Crossing. That's the entire game. You just run around and do nothing. It's great. She can go fishing and collect weed. She'll love it. Now, also, she loves the dog. That's who she picks in Mario Kart every time. So Isabelle is her shit. It'll go great. So I'm planning on going back to it then. And also I get to shit talk my sister via Animal Crossing mail. So that sounds really fun to me. I'm super into that idea. Other than that, Julian, I've been modding a lot of Skyrim. Yeah.
So when you're on PC, I still see you on Xbox Live.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, yep, Justin's like, I don't even have to check. He's on Skyrim.
Oh, I would like to tell you, I'm not playing it. There's no playing happening.
Yeah. That's why I said he's on Skyrim.
Yeah, I'm running around seeing what's broken and what isn't broken. It's a whole fucking thing. But before
maybe you should go work at Bethesda because they really need somebody to run around in their games and find out what's broken.
Yeah, I would happily do it for them, honestly. But before I get into my trials and tribulations, I have a thing. It's time, Julian, for the top 5 weirdest mods I found on Lover's Lab recently. Get ready for this shit.
Clickbait update.
Yeah. No, that's Pat. I get yelled at if I steal from them by other people. I don't know why. Anyway.
See, I wish that I could just like drop in the intro that Mike did for you guys because it's one of my favorite things before this list.
Yeah. Okay. Well, here we go. Number 5 here. We have a mod called Egg Factory Juan's Add-on. All right. Now, in parentheses, this says, have sex, lay egg. All right. That is the title of the mod, Julian.
So as you get dizzy.
So as you know, Juan's Egg Factory, very popular mod where apparently you can lay eggs. I don't know. But this is the add-on to that. So their description here says, makes you pregnant and lay eggs after sex. Okay. Pretty. Right. There you go. There's also a function. Yeah, there's also a function panel to let you quickly test the functions. All right, very convenient. The original mod Egg Factory force you to drink some potions or you'll lay eggs forever. In this add-on, you'll only lay eggs the number of times you want. Just set it in the MCM, which is the mod configuration menu. The default is 1, so you can only lay 1 egg. If you select impregnate by all, then if you had sex with any species, I'm sorry, he spelled species wrong, other than chorus, argonian, dragon, slaughterfish, spider, you'll lay bird egg, which is just a small egg. You can choose to diversify eggs by all to lay random eggs with these other species. He just cannot spell that word. Argonians will make you lay big bird egg. So there you go. This mod also take effects on NPCs by default. So if you're out there looking for a mod to, make your character lay some eggs, I feel like that's a good one to go to. Up next, Julian, we have number 4. Stuff like that in modding. Anyway, once upon a time, this is the lore behind this. Oh shit! Damn it!
Oh no. Okay, you're good. You're back.
Okay. Okay,
where did that? But it's okay.
Okay, I'll just start from where I was here. So here, Julian, we have some lore for this, for being a doggy, a pet girl mod. It is once upon a time, Julian, canines ruled the world. They spread their footprint to the end of the earth. So did they to their virus of their purification method, regarded by human being as disease. Someone worships the god of canines, and then the power of the doggy curse was granted. That changes the whole world. Did I cut out again?
No. I was thinking. I mean, they could have prevented that, but they just didn't put in measures fast enough.
No, they really didn't.
And now we're just fucked.
Yeah, we really are, aren't we? Yeah, I mean, damn dogs. After that, in the spirit of dogs. We have number 3, and that's Creatures in Heat. And I'd like to just skip straight to the mechanics of Creatures in Heat.
Thank you.
It says, when player become one of mentioned creatures, vampire, succubus, werewolf, it will be introduced with new arousal gain mechanics. Player werewolf. Player will gain arousal depending on a moon cycle phase, 24 days. Closer it is to full moon, the higher arousal gains are. At waxing gibbous arousal will start rising by 1 to 3 hourly. At full moon phase, arousal will rise by 10 hourly. At waning gibbous arousal will rise by 3 to 1 hourly and then stop until next moon phase. So very immersive arousal-based mechanics for your werewolf character. Into that thing. Then we have player vampire. Oh, go ahead.
No, I don't think I want
to know. We have player vampire. Player will gain arousal depending on a daytime, starting at 20 o'clock. That's military time. And ending at 4 o'clock. And state of vampirism. Arousal gains based on time since last fed/level. So if you don't feed for a few days, arousal will hit hard. You'll be very aroused.
Yeah, it will.
Yeah, who wouldn't be at that, right? Right. Now, number 2, Julian. This is a very popular one right here. Okay, I want our listeners. Yeah, Julian, you remember a little mod that came up? I think on one of the first episodes I was on here, maybe one of the first video game cage matches, called Milk Mod Economy.
Oh, I remember it well.
A lot of people remember Milk Mod Economy. Yeah. Very popular mod. A lot of people into it. There's a little expansion I'd like to introduce you to. It's called Being a Cow.
Get them!
Hey, I've been turned into a cow. Can I go home?
You're excused.
And it says here, this mod is a experiment that tried to provide soft cow transformation, requires milk mod economy, so you have to add that first, as I'm sure all of our listeners do by now. Works in background and follow milk activities, sex and milk machines, and from time to time turns you slowly to real who cow. I don't know what that is, but sure. Oh, human cow. That's what it's short for. I just clicked with me. Of course.
Oh, that's the missing class from Phantasy Star Online 2.
Yeah,
who cow.
That's it. Who cow.
Yeah, it's you get who cast and then you get who cow.
Now, how it works, your transformation tempo starts after first milking. You need to lactate first. Okay, very important. You get small horns, and then the next stages will be related with your milking activity. Mod works only with milk mod economy, so don't try other shit. You need only enjoy milk mod economy, and all another happened automatically. I don't know what that last part means, but that's what he said. So that's becoming a cow, or turning into a cow. Yeah, being a cow. And then our number 1 here, Julian, is Skeleton Texture Replacer 1.0.0. It just replaces the textures of skeletons. That's all it does. It's in the same.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I feel like you probably should have started with that one.
No, that's the joke. You go.
Yeah. I get it. Justin, anyway. I have questions.
Okay, go ahead. Ask away.
First, what the fuck?
By the way, these are all fucking 100% real. You can go look these up.
No, I know. Yeah. Second, did you get these from the dark web?
No, these are a legit website called Lover's Lab. It
does not sound like a very legit website, my friend.
I swear to God, it's a real thing. They have Sims mods. They have, and the reason I put that texture one at the end is they have actual like mods that are useful. Like aren't these crazy wild things? There are mods on Lover's Lab that you will look up and you go, I feel like I'm breaking a law by being here. This does not seem legal at all to see this, but it's weird. But hilarious.
Like I just feel like if you install any of these mods, then like all of a sudden Kim Jong-un is able to watch you like do whatever you want to do, and he just like kind of slowly masturbates. Like,
I mean, some people might be into that. You never know.
Yeah, Kim Jong-un.
You never know. I mean, there's something for everybody on Lover's Lab. That's the whole thing. If you're into it. But anyway,
get us out of here.
actual modding bullshit I've been just like modding. I've been playing modding Skyrim, the game. Like, it's not even playing Skyrim, although I have had like a few. Yes, it's
not Skyrim the movie or Skyrim the series.
No. Modding Skyrim the game. Yes, exactly. The movie, the game.
The novelization of that is really good, by the way.
It's amazing. You motherfuckers think Dark Souls is hard. You should try playing modding Skyrim, the movie, the game. It's fucking intense. So I've been following this really nice guide on the internet, which I usually do when I mod. They usually give like a good kind of how you should install things in what order, which is really helpful because I forget a lot. And I've been going through that. I had a mod order that I was really happy with, and I was running around. I was like, okay, I think we're actually ready to fucking start playing, actually playing. We're done with our tests, because I had uninstalled like all my mods and stuff. I had a few like scattered around in different folders, so I didn't have to download some of it. But so I get really happy. I'm like, all right, man, this is looking really good. I got my ENB set up. ENB is basically, we were talking about Minecraft before and how, ray tracing. ENB is it's kind of like a program that you set in a video game. It's actually available for a lot of different games out there. Not everyone, but the ones it is there. Really what it does is it just relights everything. And like, it's a night and day difference. Like when you put a preset on, it's, it's so good looking. But anyway, so I get my Skyrim looking really good. I'm running around. I'm doing all my tests. I'm like, man, running pretty good. I'm getting, most of the time I'm getting like 40 frames here, getting like 60 frames here. It drops to 20 in Whiterun, but I can live with that. It's fine. I've since kind of fixed that because I kind of deduced what it was doing. But anyway, get to the last part of my test. The last part, Julian, where I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to the last place I haven't been. And that's Riften. That's the motherfucking Rift. I haven't been there. Gotta go. So I go there, start looking around. Purple textures. Fuck. Purple texture means you do not have the right texture installed, and it's all fucked up because that's how Skyrim displays if you don't have the right stuff installed. And I was like, great. Fuck. I gotta redo everything. Turns out I was wrong. The mod author that made this particular thing, he just decided to make it purple. And I was like, well, I fucking hate it. Like, it looks bad. It looks like you didn't texture anything. I don't like this at all. But he was going for a fantasy setting, so he made the leaves purple. And I was like, no, we can't. I can't. It just looks bad. It looks weird. I feel like it's broken. So I uninstalled that. I was like, okay, we're gonna do some rejiggering here. I gotta fix my frames and stuff anyway, and a couple things. I've been wanting to get rid of a few things. This is my excuse. Found this other mod, Flora mod. I can't remember what the name of it's called off the top of my head. It's really nice looking though. Install all that stuff. Game looks great. I'm like, this is awesome. This is what I should have done in the first place. It looks great. I'm really happy with this. All right. I got everything set up. Everything's working good. I'm getting even better frames than what I was doing before because I've become a real stickler for that because I can press a key and see what it's doing in the corner of my screen now. And you have no idea how spoiled I am now with that. So I do that and I'm like, okay, well, we're going to do our final test here. We're going to just run around the world with this character, start running on just a normal little path, get to a certain spot. I was like, okay, I'm going to take out this fort while I'm here just so while I'm running by it. I go to sheathe my weapon because I made a sneaky character. I was like, I'm gonna make a little stealth guy because I like stealth. Oh well, it's a girl, but stealth girl. She's gonna slit people's throats because I have a cool mod that you can just sneak up behind people and press A, it'll slit their throat for them. It's pretty cool. And so I go to do that. I crouch with my weapon drawn. They automatically sheathe it. I don't know what to do. It keeps happening. I can't have my weapon out while I'm crouching. I don't know what's causing this. This turns into a 3-hour fiasco of me trying to figure out what is causing me to put my weapon back every single time and just starting the game back up going, okay, does it work this time? Nope, wasn't that thing. Fuck. Okay. So I finally figure out what caused that.
No, you had to disable the pacifism mod.
You're probably right. Well, it doesn't make sense. Well, the pacifism mod is bad then, Julian, because I can draw my weapon while I'm standing up. It didn't make any sense. But anyway, I found what was causing that. It was a mod I had never used before and was suggested by this guide I was using, and I didn't like it, so I got rid of it. No big deal. Found the replacement that I like better. Awesome. Great. Fix that problem. Go in the actual fort. Crashes the desktop. Fuck me again. Okay. And then I'm like, okay, finally I go, okay, I don't know what's going on with this fort. Maybe we move on with our lives and we'll come back and we'll see if it's just this one place. Fuck this place. This place doesn't exist. I will ignore it for the rest of the game. Nothing happens here of any importance. It's fine. Start walking down the road. Hit a certain cell. The way Skyrim is set up is there's different cells. A lot of open world games are like this. So basically, like, you hit like the edge of one and it'll load the next one. It'll load all the stuff for the next thing. You'll see it. That's older games. That's where like a lot of your graphical pop in happens. So when I hit it, usually the game will stutter a bit because I have a lot going on, and that's fine. This one hit the edge of it, crash the desktop. Fuck me again. And now it has evolved. This crash to desktop thing, and it's in these two spots. I can recreate it every time. I have no idea what caused it. I cannot find it. I have went so far as to uninstall everything I had up to that point. Cannot figure it out. I got so fed up with it today that I uninstalled everything. I'm just going to start over. Fuck it. And that's the story of Skyrim modding by Justin Ham. Please pick up my most recent book at your local Walden Books or order it from Amazon.
Walden Books.
Walden Books.
I was more of a B. Dalton guy.
What else have I done? Oh,
no, I just got to say that's how I always envisioned how Han Solo worked on the Millennium Falcon. Because like in a lot of the like novelizations and stuff, like I learned that the Falcon was governed by 3 droid brains that didn't get along, and that's why it kept breaking down, is because they wouldn't agree on what should be done. Yeah. That's what that reminded me of. And so let me ask you.
Yeah, go ahead.
So when you get it all modded the way you want and everything, are you just going to go in there and look around, survey what you've done, and say, my work here is done, and then just like exit the game?
Oh, go ahead.
Like, what do you do at that point? Because I know you've like beaten it, this way and that. So
I've done everything there is to do, but I really had like this all kind of started. I just had a craving to play it again, and just kind of wander around. I like when I had that list and I was like, okay, final test, and I was just kind of walking around checking things out and got to Rift and shit went bad. I had this like kind of character idea where I was like, okay, my character is going to be almost like the female Guts from Berserk. They don't like they're just like totally neutral. I don't give a fuck about anything in this town. I just go to fucking bandit camps and clear them out and do shit. I don't care about quests or any of this stuff because I know everything in Skyrim. And like I even have like stuff that plays around it. Like there's like an alternate start mod where you can turn like dragons off and stuff like that. You don't have to engage with anything in the main quest. All that stuff happens in the background. You're just a sub character and stuff like that's cool to me. And like I have a lot of like weird ideas. I love my favorite. The one I was going with when I was getting the CTD stuff was like, I love mage thieves, like where you can like cast invisibility spells and like make yourself silent and just like there's a really cool magic mod that adds this like spell. I think it's called Ghost Walk, where basically you cast the spell, your character goes invisible. And as soon as you activate anything or attack somebody, then you're not invisible anymore, but it warps you all the way back to where you cast the spell from. So you can like kill somebody, it'll launch you back to where you were, and then you can prepare for everybody coming at you, or they have to try to find you. It's really cool. Like stuff like that's super fun to me.
I want a whole game built around that mechanic.
Dude, it's really that. Dude, I've done entire playthroughs where that's almost the only spell I use. It's so much fun. And stuff like that, it's really cool. And I just had this hankering to go walking around. I'd seen a lot of like, there's been a lot of like really cool new stuff to come out that it's been coming out for like Skyrim Special Edition, but people backport it to Legendary, which is what I've been playing because I was having a lot of weird issues with Special Edition, so I kind of gave up on it. Like there's one new one that I found where and this sounds so dumb, but it's such a cool thing for Skyrim. That's the other thing about Skyrim modding is like when you add something to the game, you immediately start looking for it. Like, it's not like a video game where everything's already built and everything starts to blend in after a while. You immediately start going, oh yeah, I added that texture right there, or I added that animation. And so it adds this thing to it. And like the one I'm thinking of like off the top of my head, and this is, if any other game did this, you'd be like, oh yeah, that's dumb and quaint, but it's Skyrim, so it's cool to me. There's a mod called Conditional Idols. So like if my character gets hurt now, when I stop them from moving, they'll like hold their stomach like they're actually hurt, or like
right.
If you run around, use up all your stamina, they'll start like breathing heavy and like hold their knees and like do all that stuff. Like that shit's cool. Like any other game, that's like commonplace. But in Skyrim, it's from 2011 that like they didn't have that stuff. So the fact that it's there now is really cool to me. But yeah. I broke it. I'm going to start over again. That'll be fun. I kind of know what I'm going to do this time. I'm like, okay, we're going to go a lot lighter on certain things. We're going to calm the fuck down on certain other things. We're going to try to find what the hell was causing that. If I got to reinstall Skyrim, I'll fucking reinstall Skyrim. I ain't afraid to do it. But yeah, that's been modding Skyrim. It's been an adventure. There's something relaxing. There's something relaxing about the problem solving aspect to me. It's taken my mind off of like so much with everything that's going on, because all I'm focused on is fixing this problem that I have. And there's always something I want to fix, or always something I want to tweak. So it's kind of relaxing in that way for me.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. But at the time of this podcast that we're podcasting, actually, is it after midnight? Okay, well, it was yesterday, technically, we'll say. A little game called Resident Evil 3 Remake came out, and I watched the entire thing already. That game is fucking cool. I'm never going to play it. This fits right into our stage select here. I'm never going to play it, but that game's fucking cool, dude. I really love Jill in this. I want them to remake the original really badly now with this characterization of Jill, because I think she's so cool and so kick-ass. Yeah, I really dig it. I think a couple criticisms. I think Nemesis is a little too scripted. He isn't kind of what I expected from him. He's not Mr. X. I'll put it like that.
Yeah, and that's what I was really surprised to hear, because... Yeah. The way Mr. X worked in Resident Evil 2 Remake was that he is in the world and he's just kind of moving around independently, right. And you'll run into him at certain places. I think sometimes he does kind of teleport nearby. But for the most part.
Yeah, there are certain areas where he is scripted to show up, like when you solve, I believe it's the clock tower puzzle, he is going to show up in the hallway. Like that's a scripted event. And X is going to give it to you. And whatever, or one, I forgot my joke, damn it. But yeah, there's times like where he's scripted, he's got, and 1-2 X is coming for you. That's what I wanted. Got there. Oh, hip hop references. You never let me down. But anyway, yeah, I was a little, I'm not bummed out because I wasn't playing it. So, and the person who I was watching play it, I was watching no commentary or anything, because I like to experience that game, first time like that.
Yeah.
I was watching it like that. The person who was playing it definitely knew where they were going. They knew what to do. They knew everything that was coming. So they probably had it ahead of time, kind of worked it out before then, and then, put it up day of, the exact day that they could. So they seemed like a real pro at it. It was pretty badass. That was Scirocco, I think, played it. But anyway, it was I really dig it. I dig a lot of stuff it's doing. I like the dodge mechanic. I think that's cool. There's no like more defensive weapons. Like, remember how you'd get those little knives, and like if you got hit by a zombie, if you had a knife, you'd stab them in the eye and get out and take
they
damage.
Took those out?
Yeah, well, you have a dodge now. So
but like if you, I don't know, like those saved my bacon so many times in Resident Evil 2, because even in the demo, like it felt like, or the demo for 3, it felt like they were grabbing me like very easily.
Yeah.
And I couldn't fight them off, so like every time they grabbed me, I would take damage.
Yeah.
I didn't die when I played the demo, but I was close to death a couple times.
Apparently, yeah, you can't fight them off. When they grab you, they're going to bite you. it gives you a prompt to press. Apparently that reduces the amount of damage you take if you get the prompt. Apparently that's the mechanic. I don't know exactly, but I really dig like the perfect dodge, aim at the zombie's head or aim at Nemesis's head. I really think that's cool. I like a lot of retcons to the story that it's made. I really wish RE2 Remake would have done that format where would have basically taken a page out of Resident Evil 3, where like you kind of are switching back and forth between characters, so the timeline is always it's not confused. Like that was kind of a big thing. It's like, okay, so what actually happened? Who was where doing what at what time in Resident Evil 2? It's never really clear. In 3, it's very clear because it's like, okay, Jill was doing this, he was doing this, so you weren't playing as him. And then sometimes they'll be like, hey, now you're playing as Carlos. Carlos, by the way, he's super hot. I'm just going to say it. He's a handsome man. I'm just saying. Jill's not bad either. But Carlos, I get it. He's a handsome guy. Anyway, yeah. I really like it. I think it's cool, at least to watch. I don't know how to play. So if you play it, Julian, and you're like, man, that game plays like shit and I hate everything about it, I'll be like, okay, I get it. Totally get it. I just watched it and it seemed cool. But I as a Resident Evil fan of like the story, I really want them to remake all of them now, but make it their own like almost Marvel type side universe. Like the remakes are their own thing. They have their own canon and the other ones are their own canon. That way, if they go to 4, which is so beloved, there's a big split discussion that goes on when you talk about remaking Resident Evil 4, where it's like, yeah, but Resident Evil 4 is such a great game. It's considered an all-time great by a lot of people. And if you remake that, does it really need to be remade because it was so good in the first place? And it still really holds up if you go back and watch it.
But there's something to be said about, I think what you're getting at is like, but now that there's all of this like pretty unified canon that's actually kind of cohesive, you would need a remake of 4 that can take advantage of that. And then also maybe you don't remake 5, 6, and 7, and maybe you do a new Resident Evil 5 gameplay style.
Yeah, I wouldn't even hate if they did that with 4. If they just said, hey, we know 4 is awesome. This is a different 4. This is a total split off. This is, different Marvel universe type thing. That's the best way I can describe it. I think that'd be really awesome. I hope they go that route. I can't say if they will or not. I don't work there, but I'm praying that they do, because I think these remakes are really neat and really special. So that's what I did. I will play. I promise I will play new things because Final Fantasy's coming out soon. So that's the thing I'm going to do.
I think we'll be both doing that. Depending on if we both can hang with it, then I would like to do a spoiler cast. But I plan on playing all the way through. I think you're the wild card where I could see you maybe falling off of it.
Maybe. I don't know. It's Final Fantasy 7 and I'm like so curious what they're gonna do that I probably will stick with it. It's hard telling. I that's when I'm kind of like if I had to bet money, Julian, I'd say I'd finish it. Especially if you want to do a spoiler cast. If you say, hey, I want to do a spoiler cast, I'm in, man. I will finish that game even if I hate it. I will play that shit.
All right, we'll plan on that.
I mean,
I think
I finished Death Stranding, so that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and I think we're both kind of in a holding pattern for that. I would have played more Doom, but honestly, like, it was interesting, like, listening to all the podcasts that I listened to in the week or since we recorded, because it's like, oh, I'm not the only one who feels a little cool on this. And then also I'm starting to think maybe I shouldn't be playing this because I don't have a PC that can run it with a mouse and keyboard, because it seems like it's really, that's the way it should be played. And Doom 2016 plays fantastically on a controller, and this one apparently, like, that's the problem that I'm having, is like there's a lot of like finger gymnastics that I can't do that it wants me to do. So
the weak spots is what I've heard is the big gymnastics thing. And I'm hearing all that stuff. I'm glad I didn't buy it and didn't try it, because I feel like I would have really turned on it. Like, I'd have been
I still want you to try 2016.
I was just going to say, I do want to try 2016, because watching it, I'm like, this seems like it'd be really fun to play. I really do want to give it a shot, but
All right. Well,
that's it.
That's it. So, we are not done, of course, because it is time to lower the cage and step into the ring for a video game cage match.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the greatest spectacle on earth. This will be one hellacious ride tonight. This is a 15-foot high steel cage, ladies and gentlemen. Who will triumph? Who will prevail? And who will realize their dream?
And this week we have a battle of the arcade classics coming to us from San Andreas. We have Galaga from Namco versus Centipede from Midway?
I think.
Oh, I got to hold on. I'm going to have to edit this because I don't want to.
I think you're right. Maybe it's Atari.
It might be Atari. Yeah, you're right. Okay. Okay.
I couldn't remember either, so you're fine.
Versus Centipede from Atari. Simple matchup, but I'm curious because I know a lot of our listeners are younger, and also I feel like I'm one of the only arcade rats around. So where do you fall on this, Justin? Who takes this one?
Believe it or not, I used to play a lot of Galaga. It was the one arcade machine that was at the local bar that my father used to frequent every now and then, and we'd go there to eat sometimes. They actually had good food. It's kind of weird. Anyway, I actually enjoyed Galaga quite a bit. Centipede, I've definitely played it before. I think I played it on a friend of mine's old Atari that I think it was his mom's Atari or something. That was how, that's what they had. Going into it, I had to kind of refresh my memory and remember exactly what each game was. I remembered Galaga pretty well, but I couldn't remember the enemy types as well as I thought I did. I remember the ship, that white ship. I remember.
Yeah.
And as soon as I heard the jingle, I was like, oh yeah, the jingle, of course. Yeah, love it. Centipede, I went back and watched a little bit of the original. That game, it's for its time, I could see what it was doing. I just think the sound effects sound really awful, really bad, annoyingly bad. I'm sorry to anybody who feels differently, but they don't sound good to me. And also, the Centipede moves in a very, he's on a track. He's going left to right, and he's coming down a little bit, and he's coming down a little bit, and he's coming down a little bit. And unless he hits a mushroom, then he's coming down a little bit faster. That's all that happens. Galaga bugs just fly at you and don't give a fuck, and they launch missiles at you and shit. I don't really see how Centipede wins that, because he's on his track. He's like the little engine that could, he thinks he can, but I think Galaga Bug's gonna shoot him with missiles, and the Galaga spaceship gonna shoot him with the guns, and I don't see how Centipede wins that matchup, Julian. I'm just saying, I think Galaga wins. I don't see how it's even really close, honestly.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
And actually, so the way that I see it is the fact that Galaga, and by the way, Galaga is not the ship. Galaga is the enemy alien. He has the ability to hit you with a ray that takes you against your will and makes you fight on his side. And Centipede is made up of a lot of different pieces, and you just can't fight against yourself, Justin.
Right.
And that's the thing, is that Galaga's just gonna suck up a bunch of the pieces of Centipede, and then it's ball game over. That's the way that I see this matchup going.
Yeah.
Also, I used to get my I used to pinch my finger in the trackball on Centipede, so fuck
that. That's a good reason to hate that game. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, totally makes sense.
All right. Well, that's a decided sweep from the Nerds Without Pants. But as always, our lovely listeners, in addition to booking the matches, also act as our referees. Actually, let me We do have one from Adam Bradbury over on Facebook, so let me grab that real quick. All right, and Adam says, I like Galaga better than Centipede. More movement and enemy types. Also, Galaga got a shout-out in the first Avengers movie by Tony Stark. That is true.
Yes.
That's a nice feather in Galaga's cap.
I believe that may come up again with our listener stuff.
Yes.
Tony Stark playing a bigger role in this matchup, one that I did not see coming. Are we over on Pixelbit now, Julian?
We are over at Pixelbit now, yes, sir.
All right. Our first one comes in from Casey Curran, and his opinion sounds like this. He says, has to be Galaga. If Adam Sandler can beat Centipede, who can't? All right.
That's fair.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
I think that was a reference to that really bad Adam Sandler movie that I never saw.
You mean all of them? Oh no, there's a few okay ones. He's funny sometimes, that Adam Sandler. Anyway, next.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good.
I don't know. It's my turn. Next up is San Andreas, who says, both great games. Going to go with Galaga overall, since it's more polished from both the gameplay and presentation standpoints, but Centipede was probably Atari's best game, and it's certainly the game I play the most on Atari collections.
All right.
That's fair. But yeah, Galaga's much better, although, quality doesn't really have to come into this. But
no, it doesn't. But I mean, yeah. I think...
But in this case, it's both.
It's kind of both. Yeah, I mean, it just really is. Up next, we have Xrin, and he has words to say about video games, and he says, Galaga, and it's not even close. Centipedes are bugs. Galagas are, well, I don't even know. What is the Galaga? Is it the ship? It is not. Is the enemy race? Apparently it is that. The space army? Either way, giant ships with guns beat bugs, unless we are talking Starship Troopers, because those bugs that shoot plasma out their ass took out space ships easily. But centipedes don't seem to shoot plasma out of their ass, so it has to go Galaga. Woo.
That's fair.
Indeed.
Yes.
Also, Xrian, I would like to say in public before our other podcast that my sister hates your opinions on pizza and she thinks you're very wrong about it. So you can deal with that with her. I'm just the messenger.
All right. Next up, we have Superstep, who says, played online versions of both, and even without sound, Galaga was just smoother and more engaging. Also, the Galaga ship may not be able to move other than left-right in the version I played, while Centipede can move up a bit, but the Galaga ship doesn't get stopped by a bunch of mushrooms. Galaga wins the cage match by throwing mushrooms at Centipede.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
And I think that's it for Pixelbit, right?
I still have... Hold on. We read Xrian. Nope, that's it. Yep, you're right.
Yep. All right.
All right, give me one.
Moving on to the Twitters.
Okay. Sorry, my eyes started acting up there. I was reading that one. I was like, oh, shit. That's my reading eye. Okay, there we go. Who started on Twitter?
I think I've got Xavier Krieger.
Okay, yeah, you're correct. You are correct. All right. Over on Twitter, we have a person. His name is Xavier Krieger. At least I think it is. And he is at Cadis Bane on Twitter. If you would like to follow him on Twitter. I said Twitter a lot there. I stand by it. He says, I used to play Centipede all the time at the arcade in the mall, which was down the road from the laundromat. So I have wonderful memories of it. However, big bugs can never beat bombs and muscles and spaceships. So reluctantly, I'll give the win to Galaga. Ooh, a reluctant vote for Galaga. A reluctant vote, but still a vote for Galaga.
I thought Centipede was going to get some offense in there, and then just whiffed.
Yeah, they're looking like a real jobber at this point. I see. You hate to see it, Julian. You just hate to see it.
I mean, even the Brooklyn Brawler would get in a couple strikes here and there.
Right? He'd get one. Maybe there's still hope. There's still hope. We got more entries here. So
we'll see. Let's see. Next up, I have Blaine Faya at Blaine Faya.
I believe you're right.
2 classic games that I have spent lots of time with and have fond memories of. Which to choose? Honestly, I could go either way with this one, but I'll go Centipede simply because I think of the 2, I played it most recently, and that has to count for something, right? Oh, there we go.
Okay.
Centipede, there we go. On the board, Centipede finally, just got a little elbow in.
Yep. It got a right hand, got a series of right hands and an Irish whip.
Yeah.
But then, we'll see what happens from there. We'll see what happens there. He might get some more offense in. After that, we have Matt Jorgensen. And he says, I don't particularly like or dislike either of these games. So, if Julian and Justin agree, I vote with them. If they don't agree, why can't Dad and other Dad get along? You're tearing me apart, Lisa's. I didn't say that the way I was supposed to. I'm very sorry. I can't do a good Tommy Wiseau impression. I'm just not good at it. He says, also Galaga if they don't agree because it reminds me of that funny bit in Avengers. So Galaga, yes.
Yeah. Also
all around.
Totally fair.
Yes.
Let's see. Okay. Red Venom didn't do one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, some people skipped it.
All right. Yeah. Next up, we have Esteban Islas on Twitter @expired, who says, Tony Stark calling out a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent playing Galaga seems like the sure winner to me. Yes, I adore everything that Tony Stark says and does, so that's a good reason as any.
Yeah, it's looking like, Centipede bent down to give the good old back body drop and just got kicked in the mouth, and
yeah,
it's not
It'll
good.
happen, Justin. I've seen it many times.
You hate to see it, Julian. You hate to see it. Last but not least, we have our buddy Lobo, and he says he is at anyone2643 on the Twitter machine. It's a machine. I can say that, right? Yeah. Okay, great. He says, as for my video game cage match selection, I'm going to have to give it to Centipede based off the arcade cabinet alone. That trackball was always a fun controller design, and the art was a ton better than the Galaga cabinet. All right.
That is true.
Fair point. Very fair point.
Cabinet art.
I can't argue that. Even I can't argue that.
Yeah. Centipede got another little bit of offense out, but it's
yeah.
This was a squash match, man.
Yeah.
This was like old school, like 80s, early 90s WWF, where you had like the big debut wrestler against just like a dude in tights.
Oh yeah.
I actually just watched the debut of Razor Ramon yesterday. It's that. Yeah,
I think I've seen that exact debut. I loved Razor Ramon as a kid. I think he might have been like one of the first ones to really get me into wrestling, because I was just like, that guy's so cool. He's the bad guy. I didn't know what Scarface was, by the way. I was like 6.
And Vince McMahon.
Yeah, exactly.
Vince McMahon was like, oh, this is a really original idea. Good job.
That's where he gets all his ideas, is he's like a 6-year-old at heart. So it makes total sense. But yeah, Julian, you just hate to see it. You just hate to see it.
Yeah. But I mean, there's also like a certain bit of schadenfreude, when you just see someone just get completely creamed.
Yeah,
there's something to. I mean, hey, come on. I mean, Brock Lesnar has kind of like made a career about that for the last like 6 or 7 years, right? Like that. People get a kick out of that sometimes.
Right. And hey, sometimes like when a jobber wrestler shows up for the first time and they lose the match, sometimes they go on to become big stars. Jeff Hardy actually had a match against Razor Ramon, and Razor Ramon, he was a jobber wrestler to Razor Ramon, and then he became Jeff Hardy and had a drug problem. What am I trying to say here?
I think what you're saying is that Centipede has a weird and interesting future ahead of it.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's road
and then its brother Millipede is going to just go into some really weird places with drones and weird hair. But I don't know. Maybe that's for the best.
Vanguard 1 is fantastic. I fucking love that shit. Okay.
All right. Well, as always, there is another match on the horizon, Justin.
All right.
And we have a lot. I finally started to compile them into a list so I can just start picking and choosing them as is my fancy.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to go ahead and just double down on the bleakness, and we're going to pit a couple post-apocalyptic games against each other.
Great.
This one comes to us from Xavier Krieger.
All right.
Next up on Nerds Without Pants, stepping into the steel cage, we have Horizon Zero Dawn versus XCOM Enemy Unknown.
Oh, original XCOM? Okay. All right. Man. Okay. That's going to be a good one.
Just keep it to yourself. Keep your comments in your pocket until next episode.
It's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one, yep. Julian. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to go ahead and start wrapping up. Once again, for Stage Select next episode, I want to know some of your biggest gaming regrets, whatever those may be, and however you choose to define them. And then again, for Video Game Cage Match, we have Horizon Zero Dawn taking on XCOM Enemy Unknown. We're going to want those comments by 8:30 Central Time on April 17th. Once again, you can go to pixelbit.com and comment in the show thread for episode 173. You can DM us at NWPcast. You can also go to facebook.com/nerdswithoutpants podcast and message us there. Our theme music, Relax, as well as interstitial tracks, To the Max and Moody Grooves, come to us from Megan McDuffee. You can find her anywhere on social media. Just search for Megan McDuffee. She's actually working on a bunch of cool things during this time of COVID, so go check her out. Justin, what is going on at the bottom of the page, sir?
I have no idea. We are the most last-minute podcast of all time. I'm sure it will be fine, though. I will plug our last episode, which we did, a big wrestling episode. It was a big music episode, and we just talked about wrestling music and how hilarious it is. And it also has one of my favorite moments of all time, talking to my sister. I'm just going to say that. That
was some fun stuff.
Oh, I don't think I've laughed that hard in a very long time, and you get to hear it live on our podcast. So go check out Clickbait Update.
Yeah, that was some good stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And you can also find us all on the Twitter, Justin.
I am at Tyrone_Swift, or you can tweet my other podcast at Clickbait Update.
Yes, and you can find me at Julian_Titus. And again, you can find the show at NWPcast. That is going to do it for this episode. So for myself and Justin, thanks for listening, Internet. Keep it pantsless. And also be kind.
Indeed.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Uh-oh. We'll just wait for it to come back. La 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 la. La 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 la. Eventually you'll be able to hear me again. And then we will continue. That's what I think anyway.
It'll come back.
Oh, almost there? Maybe. Ba-ba-ba-ba. I'm not wearing pants. Da-da-da. Justin's lighting up a cigarette. Like he's done 100 times already. Because that's what he does. Now he texted me. This is the fresh hell that we live in.
Thank you.
Your sister's hot, Wayne. There, I said it. I said it. I regret nothing. I regret nothing.